childhood Disney movie. And so when there was like another version of that story or backstory to it, I was really excited to see it. I loved it. It came out not that long ago, and the graphics were amazing. The writing was good. The acting was good. Um, I like the kind of sort of retelling of Sleeping Beauty in a more realistic way. You know, some describe it as a dark fantasy adventure film. So it was just one of those that just stuck out to me in recent years as a high quality Disney product that didn't just feel like a blatant remake or, live action version of the cartoon one. So I loved it. I didn't see it in 3D, but I did see it in the theater, and I've seen it again since and love it. It really makes you look at fairy tales in a different way. Like maybe it's not so cut and dry. Maybe the bad guy, isn't always the bad guy. Maybe there's a reason for it. I was impressed with the fact that it had a budget of like 180 to 263 million, and the box office did almost 760 million. I mean, those are big fucking numbers, and I really liked it. I'm sure many people have seen it. I don't know what you guys think of it, but I love it. And the soundtrack and the musical score was also fantastic. So, my first pick is Maleficent.
Not a bad pick. Miss Rachel, what do you think?
Really liked Maleficent. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I'm all about that dark type of a movie, and it was really well done for, Disney to do dark, I thought.
Yeah, Disney needs to branch out and do some different stuff. I mean, I really like, just kind of, the family feel of the stuff. It's great. It's the genre they work in. But every now and again, you got to expand out, especially when you have the resources that Disney does. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts on Maleficent?
Don't know because I didn't watch it.
Oh.
Oh, good. I'm good. I'm not the only one.
Oh, no.
What?
Right. Yeah.
So good.
So fucking bite me. I don't know.
I'll be honest. I don't feel bad you didn't see it, because if I wasn't a fan of Sleeping Beauty, I probably would not have seen this.
Well, I mean, I don't hate Sleeping Beauty. I'm just, I don't know. I think this might have been. I'm gonna say this, and I did just watch Cruella, but it's kind of not fair because I love Emma Stone. So I was like, okay, let's just have these retellings of story that we know, like a classic story from Disney we know, from say the villain's point of view, and I guess we're supposed to sympathize with them in some way. At least that's what the Cruella movie did. I don't know what Maleficent's doing. I'm like, I don't feel bad for this bitch. It turns into a dragon.
Well, in this one, Maleficent isn't bad until after she's been wronged by Sleeping Beauty's parents.
That's what I'm saying.
So she was a good person and a good fairy.
Like, you're a villain. I don't need to. I don't know.
She certainly doesn't look very good. From
if we get, if we get like an Ursula live action movie, I'm fucking all for it. Whatever.
Oh, please. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we are getting a live action.
Because I love The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, we're getting a live action Little Mermaid. They're headlong into production on that. So yeah.
Won't that be creative? How they do the CGI transformation from mermaid to bipedal human?
I don't know. If they can pull off Transformers, they can pull that off. But
That's true.
I like the idea of kind of telling these fairy tales from the villain's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, that was just that point where I was like, I'm kind of done with Angelina Jolie. She was kind of in everything. I remember watching the trailers. I was like, I feel like this is one of those movies where the best scenes are in the trailers, and the rest of the movie is going to be kind of flat.
Yeah.
And like Rachel said, they don't usually do dark stuff at Disney, and this was one of the first kind of dark things they had done. So I was like, if this isn't Disney's niche, then I don't know if they're really going to be able to hit it out of the park or not. I'm sure it probably was decent, but I get a little afraid when people tend to step away from what they're really, really good at to try something new. It's not that they can't do it. It's usually the first time you try something new, you're not exactly kind of in step with how everything goes. And I thought that might have been the case with this movie when it happened, when it came out. But I just never got around to seeing it.
Just like DC, though, I mean, Disney does do villains pretty well. So, I mean, at least kind of give them that. So, it works. They took the dive.
Is this not on Disney Plus, Cora? I haven't.
I don't know. I just said I'd watch it on Disney Plus, but I wouldn't necessarily pay to rent it because she said she hadn't seen it. Like, I wouldn't go out of my way to pay for it. But if you happen to have Disney Plus and it's on there, I would watch it.
I'm sure it probably is. I don't always dig that much into Disney Plus's online repertoire, but usually it's like Loki, Star Wars, Iron Man, and I'm done.
Yeah,
not much past that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, go check out Maleficent.
See, if no one...
Go ahead.
I was say, if no one... I don't think we mentioned this yet. If no one knows, that was our caveat for this list. This has to be pre-Marvel, pre-Star Wars, pre-Disney owning everything in the universe.
Yeah.
Or just not Marvel and
That was
Disney. Or not Marvel and Star Wars, I thought. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
I mean, I
before
only
they
consider
grabbed the franchise that weren't there.
I only really consider the newer Star Wars movies Disney anyway, and I don't know that I would put any of the ones that I picked, at least not a lot of them, above any of those or behind any of those anyway. So, and the Marvel stuff. I mean, Marvel they were already what 5 or 7 years into the MCU when they actually bought the Marvel stuff anyway. So it's like the original Iron Man is not a Disney movie. The first, 20-something films, I think only the last, really, 6 or 7 were actually Disney productions?
Well, I found a Disney list to feed off of, and it had 749 movies listed.
Well, they've been making movies since 1932.
1937 was when Snow White came out. But
that's right.
Yeah, I couldn't believe the numbers. It took me maybe 2 hours to look over a list and really think about it.
Like, Steamboat Willie was before that, though, right? It was like Mickey's first outing.
Well, I don't know if that's considered a full feature-length film. That might be like their...
I don't know if we count the cartoons.
That's not on here.
Not a film, but... Well, I don't know. Animation
Here, I'll
that's the mouse. That's himself, the big man with the ears.
Who doesn't have Steamboat Willie with the whistle song in their head when they think about that?
Yeah, no doubt.
I just fucking do now.
Yeah, I do now too.
But
I'll be fucking at work tomorrow singing that damn song.
Whistling while he works. Yeah, go check out Maleficent. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's one of those things I'll probably give a try when I'm tooling around one day and I have nothing better to watch. But let's go to Rachel. Let's talk about the first movie she wants to talk about tonight.
So my first one is Inside Out, which came out in 2015. I really liked this movie, just on the psychological basis of it. I enjoyed visualizing, you're going into the head of this like preteen girl, and she's just moved to a new city and everything is new, and she loved where she lived before and nothing is the same, and you've got all of these emotions showing up in her head. Joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. And she's trying to work through, all these new emotions, because when she was, a baby, she just had joy. And that was her main emotion. And then as she got, older and had all this stuff happen to her, all these other emotions came in, and then there's this internal conflict. And I just thought it was such an interesting movie also to think about, back when I was a teenager. And I'm like, yeah, that is kind of how it felt. Everyone's fighting for the reins in my head. I just found, that part really interesting. And I can't talk about Inside Out without bringing up Bing Bong. If anyone wants to cry, her imaginary friend who saves the little emotion of joy and then, just gets forgotten in her forgotten memories. That scene was so sad to me because as a kid, I'm an only child, so I had a lot of imaginary friends as a kid, and it's like that scene made me think about, oh yeah, I had all of these imaginary friends. I'm
glad I'm not the only one. I had an imaginary friend. Her name was Sissy.
Oh, nice.
I did too.
I was an only child, so I think I pretended like I had a sister, and that's why I called her Sissy. Mm-hmm. What was yours called?
I had multiple, and some of them are kind of ridiculous. They were fairies. One was just named Ashley for some reason. Another one was named Elizabeth. We also used to have this lilac bush out by our driveway, and I would wait for the bus every day, and I would talk to the lilac bush because I had nothing better to do while waiting.
It's adorable, actually.
But yeah, this movie really took me, kind of back to all of those conflicting emotions you have as a preteen, especially when everything is changing.
Well, Cora, what did you think about this movie?
I never saw it, but I always meant to, and now I'm going to if it's on Disney Plus. there's always so many movies coming out, and life happens, but I did always want to see this because I was fascinated with everything Rachel just described. The concept of this is so, sure, it looks kiddish on the surface, especially with the animation, but this is kind of like a grown-up concept, like, taking apart the human psyche and looking at it, at what makes up a person. So I have a big interest in psychology, so, this one I was drawn to, I'm not going to lie.
Well, Jeremy, what did you think of this film, Inside Out?
Is everybody sitting down still?
I hope so.
Yeah? You loved it?
I didn't see this either.
What?
Yes, absolutely loved it.
I think you're going to owe her a lilac
look.
bush for this one, and then she can talk to it when she's mad at you.
No. I think what's going to happen is this damn list I have of movies for her, something becomes a thing of, here, this is for both of us now, because
Yep.
if this
Yeah,
may
Inside
come as
Out's
a shock
going
to you,
on your list.
Okay, it's kind of become our list because I'm too lazy to make a fucking list for myself because it's gonna be shorter. But I've seen every movie in the damn world. I know, I'll brag that I've seen everything, but
Clearly have not.
I
I keep
think
coming
Not
up
this
with
one.
movies you haven't seen.
I think this may be one of those ones where I just didn't get around to seeing it. Was part of the problem, and I don't know. I may have just gotten behind on.
That's my excuse.
Dang
So I'm with Jeremy on this one. I meant to see it, but haven't yet.
I do like the concept because that's the thing that they do well when we were talking about earlier. It's it's an animated movie, but it doesn't mean adults can't go watch it or watch it on their own or with their kids because there's something for everybody there. It's not just driven.
I mean, I was an adult in 2015 and I went and saw it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can still relate to it in a way. It's still fun for everybody. It doesn't have to.
Another thing that was kind of interesting about that movie is you have, like I talked about before, she had that one emotion that was leading her. And you also get a chance to see into both of her parents' heads, and they have different emotions in charge of them.
That's
also an
mentioned,
interesting concept.
Someone mentioned that, because what drives the dad and what drives the mom.
Yep.
I'm that's kind of fucked up when you think about it. Oh no.
Yeah. Did you guys ever watch the sitcom Herman's Head?
Yes, I did.
It was basically an
animated.
It was basically an animated version of that. I think I saw this when it first came out. The movie really didn't stick with me. I mean, I remember thinking it was kind of amusing, but I thought it was okay. Look, not everything Pixar does can be great. I mean, they do a lot of great stuff, but not everything can be fantastic. Maybe it was just me. I do like the idea of dealing with the emotions and stuff like that, but I mean, sometimes the stories just don't really grab me that much, and this is one of the ones that did. I thought it was a movie to watch. I didn't feel like I was cheated out of, $12 to go see it one night, but it was pretty good. Like I said, it's Pixar. Even when Pixar shits the bed, it's a pretty entertaining movie. You know what I mean? But that's
well, Frank, you've got emotions. Show them.
One or two, but I don't show them that much. Sorry to break your heart.
That's a big table. He's got two emotions sitting there, just all right, there's room for activities, guys.
I'm just somebody just order a pizza and give me a beer. That's all my emotions need. But that is Inside Out. Yes.
This is just hangry. That's his emotion.
What were you saying, Cora?
I was going to say, well, that, simple is sometimes easy and predictable, so I'm sure Jennifer appreciates that.
Yeah, I'm a simple man. That's I'm a simple man to please. That's all it is. I keep Jennifer around because of that. It doesn't take anything too complicated. She just has to come home every night and I'm happy. But that is Inside Out. Go check out that movie. I would imagine that most of the movies that we're going to talk about tonight are either available on Disney Plus or somewhere. Maybe even Hulu.
Not sponsored, by the way.
Since Disney owns half of Hulu, they're probably going to be available on one or both of those platforms. So you can probably find just about every movie that we discuss on one of those platforms. But let's move on to Mr. Jeremy. Talk about his first movie.
Okay, so the first movie I have is from 1986, and it is The Great Mouse Detective. I think this is the furthest back I have without putting it into a honorable mention or something I haven't already mentioned, because I can't keep talking about the Love Bug. I mean, I'm sorry, I would, but I can't. I've already said it in two lists. And I gotta stop doing that.
But you won't.
Could. No, I will not. So I try to keep off my list. I don't want to overlap myself. So if the title didn't give it away, it's like a retelling of like a Sherlock Holmes story, but it's with two mice. The little girl and her dad is a toy maker, and one night even for I saw this as a kid. It's probably the one I watched like when I was little. That fucking bat scared the shit out of me. It was the damn flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz, and that fucking bat. It scared the shit out of me. Kidnaps the dad, and she's left all by herself. So she seeks out Great Mouse Detective. She knows, okay, well, this guy can obviously help me. And he, instead of, his name is Dr. Dawson instead of Watson. I almost tripped myself up. I think it's suggested that these mice live, like, underneath Baker Street. Like, you see a guy in the window, a silhouette of a guy playing a violin, which you know is obviously, Holmes, but they live, like, in this little house underneath them. And they're all, this is all part of a big plan by this guy named Ratigan, who is, it's like Voldemort. You don't say his name, you don't tell him he's a rat, because he'll probably kill you to his big fluffy cat. He wanted her dad to make him this animatronic to impersonate the queen so that he could basically just take over the entire mouse world. I don't know what that even means. It's a fun movie. It's, kind of a action-y type mystery, not murder, because no one died. It's Disney. Well, Bambi died. Sorry, spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
It's Disney. Somebody's mom's gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the dad got kidnapped. I was right about that. But, well, no, yeah, that one drunk mouse that said he was a dude was a rat. He fucking the cat. You don't see it. Definite big shout out though, as a horror fan myself, who the guy who voiced Ratigan, which was Vincent Price. I was tripping up myself. I forgot his name.
That guy's a legend.
Hall of Famer for sure.
Yeah, like who better to play your villain? I mean, holy shit, right? House on Haunted Hill, fucking Edward Scissorhands, amazing.
Rachel, what do you think of this movie?
I have not seen this movie in a very, very long time. I'm pretty sure I've only seen it once, and I was probably like 6.
It was.
So I
was 6 when this came out.
I don't
Right.
really remember it very well. I mean, I remember bits and pieces of it now that now that you've described it again. I wouldn't have put the name to what the movie was about unless you'd described it to me. I remember enjoying it as a kid, but that's about all I remember.
I had it on VHS,
Watched,
and
as a
I
kid.
watched it as a young kid.
Same.
And I really liked it. It also, because I like the movie Rats of Nim, and there's a couple other movies that have similar vibes with rodents that are really have a nice deep story, even for a kid to appreciate. And this was one of them. Oh, Robin Hood, the Disney version of Robin Hood, with the animals. That had the same kind of vibe. I just love this. I forgot I loved this movie, Jeremy. I'm really glad you picked it, because I totally fucking forgot about it. So kudos.
Yeah.
Well, to hear me say it, I guess.
When did this movie come out? I'm thinking it was probably like early 90s.
86.
Right?
86.
That might have been why.
It was released on VHS in the early 90s, though.
Yeah.
For some reason, I remember it being sometime early 90s, because I'm like, maybe that's why I didn't see it.
That's when it got really big, when you could buy it on VHS, I think.
Yeah, because at that point, especially, because I don't remember even hearing about this movie until the 90s, and at that point, I was, I don't know, circling right around 20 years old, 18 to 20 years old. All I wanted to watch was action flicks with half-naked girls. So movies like this probably weren't really on my radar, so I can't remember ever seeing it. But this was
your
like,
honesty.
well, I mean, it's true. I mean, it's like I had that period of time where I was just like, I only want to watch Terminator, and that's about it, because I'm an idiot and I don't really know what's going on in life. I drink a lot in my early 20s, but but it was just one of those movies that was kind of in between generations for me. I was transitioning from kid to adulthood, from the kid who actually wanted to watch movies like this to adults who actually wanted to enjoy film for what they have to offer, and I was just probably being a douchebag and just missed this film. That's what I'm guessing, but I know I've heard of it a million times. I just can't say I've ever seen it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a cute one, and it was very well done for a cartoon in the 80s. It wasn't hokey. It actually had a really good plot to it, and even as an adult, you might be able to appreciate it more than most cartoon movies. I think Jeremy would agree.
Like I said, how do you go wrong with Vincent Price as your fucking lead villain?
Yep.
He even has like the
Vincent
little
Price
mustache
as
too, like
anything.
Vincent Price. That's what I'm saying. He even had like the same like haircut and the same like suit, full mustache. It's cool.
Yeah, you can't go wrong putting Vincent Price in anything, anything at all. Legend. But yeah, go check out The Great Mouse Detective. And maybe you guys will like it. You guys, let me know whether it was any good or not. Just want to send a real quick shout out to the chat before I get into my first movie. Let's say Cora, who's on the call. Sarah Winks, how you doing? I hope you like what you see.
That's my friend Sarah, by the way.
Oh, well, how you doing, Sarah? I'm glad you could join us. I'm glad Cora brought you our way. Casey is raw. What's going on, Casey? TSS2, one of the usual guys from the whole YouTube network that we're in. David Capiz, what's going on with you, my man? Let's see, Chris Skywalker's got his channel. He's putting up more and more short reviews about stuff. Go check him out. Who else was in here? I think there was somebody else in here. Really Mysterious was in here early. He usually is. He's one of our favorites around here. But yeah, so thanks all you guys for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We hope you guys come back for more. Now, my first movie, I'm going to go all the way back to the very beginning.
Ooh.
As soon as I can.
Willie.
No.
Damn it!
I'm going back to the very, very beginning. I'm going Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is the first feature-length cartoon ever done by Disney. This was literally the first step for everything Disney has done from then on out. People don't realize Snow White was the Avengers back in 1937. It pulled in, I want to say it pulled in $187 million at the theater. Which doesn't sound terrible now for like an independent film or a small film, but if you want to adjust for inflation and stuff like that, that's like a $750 million movie today. And if you do a movie that makes $750 million today, that's considered blockbuster. This was the first time anybody had ever seen animation on such a large scale that they had stretched out the story of an animated character, an animated world at such a long scale. It was a very, very big gamble by Walt Disney and his studios to do that, and it worked like a charm. So this really is one of not only is it amazing to watch. I mean the visuals are great, the story's great. The voice work is great. The music's great. I mean, everything about this really does set the standard for everything that Disney has done from 1937 up until today. So you're looking at almost 100 years of the great artistry that we've gotten from Disney, and this was the first brushstroke of all of that. This really did set the standard for everything that Disney. For everything.
And wasn't it really like the feather in his cap for a very long time? I mean. I think he was very proud of this.
I think I remember reading somewhere that somebody towards the end of his life had asked him what are some of the things he was most proud of doing, and he would regularly say Snow White. He's like, I never topped the first thing I did. I was always kind of.
I can't believe the budget.
Well, I mean,
the budget was almost $1.5 million in 1937.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of money. That's like spending $250 million on a Marvel movie. That's a lot of money.
Yes, yeah.
And then to top it off the time.
Have you ever seen in person? I saw it at Disneyland in frames, of course. Some of the actual animation cells from the 30s when they were. Oh my God, they were stunning. I mean, it was just like I've seen videos from. Remember in the Disney Channel? Maybe you guys do in the 80s. They would do like little mini documentaries of old Disney content, and I vaguely remember them talking about. Showing when we're a film that Disney himself narrated, talking about the making of Snow White and all the work that went into every single cell of animation that made this film, and I just was so fascinated. I mean, it's just stunning the amount of work that went into this.
Yeah, Rachel, what are some of your thoughts?
The child, this movie scared me.
Really?
It does have a bit of a dark tone at times.
Which part?
The whole witch, everything like that.
The heart in the box and the chasing, and it scared me a lot as a kid. I did not watch this one a lot as a child. I was a very timid, scared child, however. That may have something to do with it. But I did, as I got older, appreciate it for what it is. I mean, it was a feat of film. I mean, for the time, and like you said about how much it would have cost if you adjust it for inflation. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, just a fantastic movie. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts?
Snow White.
Do what?
I haven't seen Snow White.
You really haven't seen Snow White?
What?
Do you even
What?
movie,
I'm
bro?
fucking with all you. Seen Snow White.
How have you never seen
Jesus.
Snow White?
You have to fix this.
Are you kidding me? You
No,
haven't
I've
seen
seen-
the oh my gosh.
I've seen Snow White. Everybody
Oh,
shut
you
your fucking
asshole.
face.
Rude.
God,
Yes.
you guys walked right into that. Of course
Maybe
I've
you
seen
shouldn't
Snow
have
White.
let us there.
Well, my track record up to that point had not been fucking great, so it would have been believable, to be honest.
I just looked it up, you guys. The film includes 250,000 drawings made by 750 artists
Very nice.
to make an
I think I've
83-minute movie.
seen something similar to what you were talking about, Cora. It's like I don't remember. I think it might have been. I want to say it was Bambi or something. They were just talking about just a pan, like a pan across this snowy forest, which is why I assume it was Bambi. Like the layers and the way they moved each like thing behind, like just to get one fucking like pan, one little frame of something, and I'm like, good God, like.
Like the
And when I see
leaves
stuff
moving
now, like-
or like
Yeah.
the character walking or just the camera
Right.
quote turning. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, and now I'm more recently seeing all these things from. I know we weren't talking about Star Wars, but I see all these things about the people that made the models, the intricate models, and I'm like, people did this shit. People had the job of making these paintings, making these cells, and I've seen what's that fucking one where they have like the layers stacked up like this, and they put the camera down, and they had layers, and they sat there and moved each one. You know what I mean? This was a fucking. This
Yeah.
was art. I mean, straight up. And again,
Yeah.
yes, the OG, and like she said, I mean, there are some. It's kind of a dark movie. It is kind of scary. I mean, I think now it's cool. Then I kind of thought it's a little creepy. But the fucking poison, like making that skull over the apple,
Yeah.
that was cool.
Ooh.
That did
That
look
was-
really cool after I
It was
grew up a little bit.
sweet. Yeah, I'm like, of course, as a kid, I was like, whoa, that's. I was like, oh no, like that's bad. But I mean, it's cool. But then now again, thinking about what they did to make that happen, I mean, holy shit, that's cool.
And it is
Um,
scary when you're at Disneyland
this-
and you're walking around and you see the castle where they have the evil queen looking through the curtain and light up
Yeah.
her face. Dude, even as an adult that tripped me out.
Yeah.
Is this the? Are you sure, Rachel? Are you sure this isn't the original Inside Out? It's like they got all the different emotions. The seven.
Oh, the
dwarfs.
seven dwarfs.
No, some
It
of those
could
fuckers
be.
are
maybe
just
that,
moody.
maybe that's what Frank. Maybe that's what Frank has. The
Yeah,
seven dwarfs.
I have seven
instead of
dwarfs.
emotion.
Yeah, the
You got the seven
official.
dwarfs.
Yeah, the official box office for Snow White is at $418 million, but that's going to include re-releases over the last however many years, and it's been re-released in theaters more times than I can count. So the updated box office is $418 million. The budget was $1.49 million, which in today's dollars is just shy of $28 million, which is still a ton of money. I mean, I wish I had $28 million to spend on a movie, is all I'm saying. But yeah, so it really is the movie that set us down the path that we would eventually walk, that would give us really all of the movies that we're going to talk about tonight in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, it's one that should definitely be watched. Again, it's just this great combination of artistry, the voiceover work, the music, just everything about it. And even again, I like the grainy texture when you go back and watch it, because when something looks old, it looks that much better to me. Maybe it's because I'm kind of old and I like old things, but. Yeah, I just love it. I think you guys should not go watch it just because it's good, because it really is. I mean, it says it right there in the poster, his first full-length feature production. It is the first step to everything Disney. And it's a fantastic first step. I mean, that's probably one of the reasons why everything has been so fantastic for so long that Disney has done. But now we'll move on. We'll go back to Lady Cora for her next movie she wants to talk about. What do you want to talk about?
I'm going to talk about Tron Legacy from 2010. With a serious honorable mention nod to the original Tron from the 80s. We've talked about... I picked this one before in a previous show. I don't remember which one it was. But on a Disney list, to me, the Tron movies had to be mentioned. These movies... there's just something very unique about them. Disney doesn't seem to do. I don't kind of even know what genre to put this in, because it's not necessarily sci-fi, but it's like future tech, cool shit,
Dystopian?
action, huh?
Like dystopian, almost.
Yeah, something like that. But this, so like I said before, I saw Tron Legacy first, and then I went and saw the original. Jeff Bridges, Garrett Hedlund, Olivia Wilde in this. You can't go wrong with this movie, period. The soundtrack is fucking amazing. The special effects are stunning. The plot has a great pace to it. There's no holes in the storyline. There's it's just really great all overall. Even the CGI for making Jeff Bridges look young was done amazing. And then you have, like people like Michael Sheen in it. You just can't go wrong, in my opinion, with this movie. If you love the first one, let alone if you haven't even seen the first one. And for Disney I knew for a long time people had wanted a follow-up. And so I remember when it came out, all the excitement about it, because they've been waiting so long for the follow-up. I mean, the budget was $170 million and the box office was $400. That is just a really great margin there. And I like Daft Punk, so they did some music in it. So that kind of brought maybe some interest from younger people who may not have seen the first movie, like myself, who wanted to see it for the music. Anyways, loved it. And I really want a third follow-up movie, Disney, by the way. So there you go. Tron Legacy.
They've been talking about it. We may be getting it. What about you, Rachel? What do you think?
So I'm not going to pull your leg like Jeremy did, but I have not seen this.
I'm not entirely surprised.
I've not seen it. I've not seen it. I didn't even realize that was Disney.
It's one of the odd things about this movie. It's like it's not it wasn't well received. A lot of people didn't like it. I actually thought it was a pretty decent movie. I don't understand why.
I mean, I've heard of it, but
I don't understand why. I mean, the acting was really good. The special effects were fantastic. I just think that it maybe was one of those movies where the expectations were so high because the first Tron movie is such a high benchmark, and it was one of those movies that gave us, not unlike Star Wars, it gave us certain technologies that would be used in many, many, many films after that over the next decade. That this movie it was never going to really meet that standard again, and I don't know why people thought like that. I thought it was a good movie. Jeremy, what do you think?
I think I mentioned. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't repeat myself. I think I mentioned this when we mentioned this movie before. I have not seen Legacy, but I have seen the original, so half and half. But I mean, I think this might be another one of those. I think when we were talking about Indiana Jones, I'm like, maybe it was. I mean, I want to call it a hype bike because the bikes were fucking the coolest part of that movie.
And the USB thing at the end. I mean, the fact that everything that Tron ends up being in a USB drive in the pocket as he walks out of the building. I mean, that's just
that's wild.
Cool as shit.
Yeah, I mean, it may have been playing on that nostalgia, but I mean, it's not like there wasn't a fan base that like, oh, I want to see another fucking Tron movie. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I didn't get around to seeing it, and maybe that was my. That was what 2010, because that might have been my hesitation.
Yeah.
I was still, Indy 4 was still in a bad taste in my mouth from about 2 years prior, so that's why I was kind of like, maybe we shouldn't do this 30-year sequel thing, as I keep calling it. So, I don't know.
Well, you know what? I mean, that can help. I mean, maybe. I don't know. There had always been whispers about a Tron sequel, and like nobody ever really took it seriously. I know there was a big push in the 90s to do a Tron sequel, because once they hit like that 10th anniversary, a lot of people were like, hey, now that the computer industry is kind of blowing up the way it is in the early 90s, they were like, maybe this is a time that we can kind of go to that to re-examine this world. And Disney just never did anything about it, but that was when they were really kicking up some of the Pixar stuff and things like that. That new kind of animation was kind of what they were focusing on, so they didn't really want to go back to do something Tron-like. And I think that might have been a better time for it, but like I said, I thought this movie was really good. The special effects were cool. The story I thought was fairly interesting. The idea of Flynn getting sucked back into the Matrix, as it were, or to the I forget what the hell they call it, but of him getting sucked back into that world and being missing for 30 years. I mean, that kind of made sense. And then having his son also being some kind of super genius who's not really using his intelligence the right way. He's a bit of a ne'er-do-well, but still super smart. I thought it all worked out pretty well. And then you get Olivia Wilde, who was one of the hottest things in Hollywood at the time. It's like, why not go for this and do the whole thing the way they did it? I thought it was good. And yes, there are whispers that Disney wants to make a third one. I'm actually really, really surprised at that, because this movie did not do very well critically. It made some money, but it didn't do very well with a lot of the critics, and a lot of the fans kind of shit on it. But I thought it was really good. I thought it was as good a sequel as you could have made 30 years after the fact.
Cool.
And then top it off is they did leave that one little nugget of an open thing at the end, to where you could build another movie off of it. So you got to wonder, I mean, what's in that USB drive around Garrett Hedlund's neck as he's walking out of out of the arcade. And then to top it off, honestly, as a child of the 80s who grew up watching the original Tron, I've got the 25th anniversary edition on DVD. It's like having him walk into Flynn's arcade and like hearing Journey's Separate Ways playing in the background. That is one of the ultimate nostalgia trips. It's like I was instantly like 12 years old and back in an arcade again somewhere in the West Coast. I was just like, that right there is my happy place. And so that there was the right shots of nostalgia at just the right time to make that part of it all work very, very well. But I thought it was a good movie, and I hope we eventually get another sequel out of it and make it a trilogy, because I think you can do a lot of stuff. And I think that people all want to come back. I know that Garrett Hedlund has said that he's willing to do it. Olivia Wilde is one of the people that's been pushing Disney to do it. I don't know if they've had anybody try to write any scripts or anything like that. If they have, I don't know who. But yeah, I'd love to see all these guys come back and do another one, because there's still a couple of ends that you could pull on to create a whole new very cool story. I think that'd be fun. But
hey,
anyway,
Alex Payne in the chat.
That is Tron Legacy. Is Alex here? Alex never comes here to hang out with us. What's up, Alex?
Wow. We're honored.
That is Tron Legacy. Go check that one out. And Miss Rachel, what is the next movie you'd like to talk about?
Next movie I have is Up from 2009. I thought that this idea was super original and super interesting. You have the story of Carl Fredricksen. It starts out one of the saddest first 15 minutes of a movie I've ever seen. For one thing,
love story, isn't it?
Breaks my fucking heart.
It's a beautiful love story, but it drove a knife right through my heart within the first 15 minutes. I mean, come on. But the after, as he, as Carl grows, old and is stuck in the middle of all of these big skyscrapers, and he's refusing to leave, and the character of Russell also, I love that. It's so cute. Let's explore the wilderness and all of that.
And the dog. Fucking
dog. Yes. Doug, an excellent character, excellent design, just a favorite of mine for sure. The idea, of exploring and him actually eventually getting there as an old man, and meeting his hero, and then his hero turning out to be evil, and then them saving Kevin the big bird. Just the whole movie is just a delight. I really loved Up. Saw that one in theaters. Cried in the theaters within the first 15 minutes. But just this movie stands up against against time too. I feel like, as I'm getting older, I feel like there's less and less original ideas for movies, and this was one of the last ones from Disney that I really enjoyed. That was a totally original idea.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Cora, what'd you think?
I loved it. I cried. This movie came out the year I went through my divorce. And so I was like, I wish I could have that. And so I cried even more because I didn't have that. But I found it now, so it's okay. But it's just, you're right, Rachel, on point. It's a delight. Mm-hmm. Original content. It has kid appeal, adult appeal. I wish this was a novel, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That we could read like an adult format in a way.
Mm-hmm.
This would
that would
be
really cool.
Oh, yes. I mean, I just feel like this whole movie was like a poem about a life journey that many people would want to at least read about, let alone live themselves. So I'm tearing up just thinking about it, Rachel.
It's just it's
Oh,
a
boy.
sweet movie
Oh, I
and
know.
sad and
Yeah. And the dog, I mean, who doesn't want a dog just like that? It's just
right. I hid under my porch because I love you. Who doesn't want that? Everyone wants that.
And I'm not even gonna pull. I'm not even gonna believe you if you say you haven't seen this, Jeremy, because if you haven't, fuck you.
That's a sin.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Fuck all of you. I've seen this movie. I've seen the thing with Carl and Ellie. I'll talk about it, and it makes me fucking cry every time. All right. They told a story just in the first.
You're so sensitive,
in the first
Jeremy.
10 minutes.
You are human.
fuck.
Thank goodness.
Hey, fuck you and your 7 dwarfs, Frank. God damn it.
Somebody's grumpy.
It's the White Dwarfs, not Frank's. I don't know if Frank could pull off the dress.
Look, I just all right. What my opinion is of Up. Jesus. Oh God, you fucked me up. Yeah, you told. Look, you told us a adorable ass story with just. I mean, how do you? Can I help you, dude? I was over here having a drink, kicking the shit out of my fucking. Yeah, kicking the shit out of my fucking. You knocked that over. Really bad. Yeah, telling a story of just the two people, Carl and Ellie, together, and I'm like. I mean, I know we've said it, and I'm like, I want that. That's. How do you not? I want a fucking adventure book. I want to fucking, put a house on, what was it called, Paradise Falls or something?
Paradise Falls, yep.
Paradise Falls. That they grew up having this, like, sense of adventure. And it's like, even when you just kind of watch their story, I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and jerk off the fucking first part of the movie. I'm sorry. you watch, like, through their story, and I'm like, this, like, I mean, I get it, because I'm like, the idea of that jar they had, they were like, okay, we're going to put money, we're going to put a loose change in here, we're going to go. And then, like, it's life. Shit keeps happening. Like, they got the flat tire, the fucking tree fell on the house, they had to fix the roof. Of course, Carl may have done some cool backflip stunts and broke his arm, or whatever he did. And I'm like, yeah. Good. And then, yeah, they just fucking punch you with, Ellie dying. But, I mean, hey, you got Kevin the Bird.
You mentioned the scrapbook. One of my favorite parts of that movie is at the end when he looks back at the scrapbook, after he's had this adventure, and how Ellie had put pictures of their life together at the end of the scrap. I mean, you can't get cuter than that. I mean, that's so
That's what I'm
sweet.
I'm gonna cry again, Rachel.
Right. I had to bring that up. That's one of the sweetest parts of the whole
I'm
movie.
like when she's in the hospital bed and the little Lucas comes by and scoop. Give it to her.
Well, here's one of the things that Pixar does really, really well. Is they get us emotionally involved in characters. If you look at all the stuff they do, it's like Toy Story. We're hooked on Buzz and Woody from the get go. I mean, and it was the same thing with Up. It's like that first 10 minutes. I mean, yeah, it's tremendously sad and all that and blah blah blah. I didn't cry at it. I mean, because I'm kind of a hard ass like that. But even I'm like watching this, and I am, by the time that sequence is over, I am emotionally hooked on this character. I am all in, and I'm like, I want to see where this guy goes from then on out. And then the rest of the movie is all just great. And then you get to the, and there is a lot, and there is a lot about this movie that it does appeal to a lot of people. I mean, everybody likes the dog character, that kind of character in a movie. Yes. Everybody gets amused by that. You've got the kid who it's like everybody likes that character, and then for other people who want that little bit of a deeper character thing, you have the old man. And that character is very rich and deep, and you find yourself either identifying with him or rooting for him for a couple of different reasons. And like I said, you really get invested in that character. And that's one of the things that Pixar has always done very, very well, is they really get you into these characters. They do a lot the first 5 or 10 minutes to really grab you by your ears and just get in your face and say, check this out, this is awesome, you're going to love this. And then you do, because of the way they craft their stories. And then, next thing you know, you're on a 2-hour ride that is just pure awesome. That's one of the things that Pixar has always done well, is just great character development.
And if I recall, the music in Up, the musical score was almost like a big blockbuster dramatic movie, like quality kind of musical score.
Yeah.
See, this time you are talking to two people who were in band, who will actually sit here and jerk off the soundtracks and the orchestral stuff. Yes.
Right.
And I was in symphony for 15 years, so yeah.
Yeah.
We're all a bunch of music nerds.
You're in the corner again, Frank.
Right.
Yeah, and Jessica was in the chat. Squirrel. You can't. Squirrel. You kind of can't watch this movie. I mean, if you've seen that movie 200 times, you still laugh when that part comes up. But that movie is up. Go check that one out. It is a really, really good movie. Again, Pixar they hit home runs all the time. Like I said, even when they shit the bed, it's a really good movie.
Can you imagine how different Disney's success trajectory would be if they hadn't paired up with Pixar and someone else did?
You say paired up, it's bought Pixar, but it's kind of the same thing. It's
right.
No, I get it. I get it. I mean, yeah, it's look. You take a good product and then you
perfect marriage.
Then you put the resources behind it, and it only gets that much better. So,
and the distribution network that Disney has, I mean,
absolutely.
It was perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think that Miss Rachel is up next. What movie would you like to discuss next?
That was my.
That was her pick.
Yep. Oh, I did.
Jeremy next.
I didn't. Yeah, so it is Jeremy next. I've been trying to keep track of my little piece of paper here, and I screwed that
He
one
really
up.
likes to skip Jeremy, Rachel. He really doesn't want Jeremy to talk.
You want to sit here and call me your hetero life mate, and then just skip me like that.
But that's the truth. That's how marriage
how it
works.
works.
You ignore your partner. So it's actually quite realistic.
All right. Is it my turn?
What's the next one? Go ahead.
All right. Well, since I guess this is my segue into, finding out that someone you idolized actually was maybe not the best person in the world, even though this man is the hero of this movie, I went with The Incredibles from 2004. There's the spoiler, my shirt. Yeah, I mean, shit. I noticed, I kind of looked at, like, again, the years of these, and I'm like, this is probably mostly when I was, like, a little kid. Except for, obviously, The Great Mouse Detective, and maybe another one that I'm going to mention later. But this was, we've talked a lot about, like, the big, like, when the superhero, like, movie boom kind of happened. It was, like, the early 2000s, like, with Spider-Man and maybe even Blade and shit like that. This, I mean, I think this was a good jump in for Disney/Pixar. This is a fucking, I mean, are superheroes original? No, but this is a really nice, its own thing, and I love that. The fact that you have, all these superheroes, I can't talk today, superheroes in their own golden era, like they're at the peak, top of their fucking world, and it all comes crashing down because the irony of Mr. Incredible saving somebody who did not want to be saved. Line is definitely not for kids. I watched somebody review that. What do you say? You didn't save my life. You ruined my death. I'm like, that's dark, dude.
Dark.
Jesus. It's kind of funny, but I'm like, that's not really funny though. Like, Jesus. I'm like, he was just doing what he does, man. He's a superhero. What do you expect? It all kind of goes crashing down. They all have to kind of go dark underground, and they have, I guess the kind of like CIA type people that like a witness protection thing for like the superheroes, where they have to have normal jobs, normal boring lives like the rest of us, and that's gotta suck, man. If you got powers and you just can't do anything about it, and you can't be seen, because then the special agent says, like, we gotta put all this money behind erasing memories, we gotta do all this Men in Black shit, But Mr. Incredible gets his it's his little midlife crisis, I guess, of being a superhero again by being contacted, ironically enough, by the kid who was like his biggest fan back in the day, and he kind of just blew him off, right? And that tore that kid apart, and he eventually kind of, I guess, became an evil Batman. He got rich and made a bunch of weapons and all kinds of shit that killed off the other superheroes, which is kind of fucked up in its own right. To basically just make himself seem a superhero himself, because that's something that's deep rooted in this kid's mind, right? So him being the villain is kind of clever. Now that, Mr. Incredible has a family, it's like more is at stake. But, I guess the best way to bond as a superhero family is to take down a bunch of henchmen and this big giant hamster ball of a robot. And you got Sam Jackson in this movie as fucking Frozone. How cool is that? I did not mean for that pun, but how cool is that?
And Holly
Trying to
Hunter
not make
isn't
it
bad
make-
billing either, or Craig T. Nelson. I mean, those are great,
Oh yeah.
actors.
Yeah, that's some pretty killer voice talent.
Just trying not to make any.
And Wallace Shawn, the guy from The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good billing.
It's a fun movie. We finally got a fucking sequel like 15 years later, but hey, never like the never, I guess.
And the sequel is actually pretty.
I was
good.
realizing sitting here like this wire like almost makes it. It makes the thing look like a tube. Like I kept sitting here fucking with it. Like it looks.
Did you plan that?
So. No, I didn't. I sat here looking up like, wait, I can make the Incredibles 2 logo. Just put the wire in. Yeah.
Cora, what do you think of The Incredibles?
All right, it's the first movie.
Never saw it. I
Waiting on Jeremy's
heard
reaction.
of it.
I was waiting on
heard-
Jeremy's reaction. I thought
I'm
he was
gonna
fucking with
hold
him.
my.
I
hold
seen
my judgments.
snippets of it. I think I was at somebody's house and their kids were watching it, and I watched maybe 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there, 2 minutes there. I got the basic gist of it, but I haven't actually seen it. To be fair, I was busy in life that year, and but when it came out, I was planning my wedding. But yeah,
Fair.
I don't know. I want to see it. It's on, I think I just need to spend like a week just watching only Disney Plus content and catching up with stuff. Because
if you did like the soundtrack, like this one has a really like 60s espionage, like James Bondy kind of like. It's really cool. It ties in really because that's about the time period. It kind of seems like they're in. It seems like when they're later in life, kind of seems like the late 60s maybe. So it ties in really well. And it's fucking cool. And look, also we got the meme of like thick Mrs. Incredible had no business looking like that. So.
Well, I'm sold. I'm
know.
I'm gonna be putting this on my little Disney Plus, whatever they call that, watch list tonight because I do want to see this. So.
It is actually really fun. Have you guys ever seen, real quick side note, have you guys ever seen the YouTube video where they line up the events of the post-credit scene from Infinity War to the scene where he says, "Where's my super suit?"
Oh,
when Thanos snaps that scene where Nick Fury, where he dissolves away, the helicopter that crashes into the building, they synced it up with the helicopter that crashed into the building into that scene, and it times out perfectly. I can't imagine that was done purposely, but it's absolutely hilarious to think about that Samuel L. Jackson is also in cartoon form up in the building, and he's like, "Where is my super suit?" I always thought that was really, really funny. But Rachel, what do you think of this movie?
So, this was one of my favorite movies, so much so that when we bought the DVD, I watched every single one of the special features multiple times. The drawn deleted scenes, there was this feature where you could go through each one of the superheroes were like talked about, and it told you like their history, the files, like how their history, how they died, all this other stuff.
Oh, like their backstories?
Yeah, like their back a little bit. It was like snippets. It was like a whole thing. It looked really cool.
It was not just them. It was like all the superheroes in the movie, right? Like all of the other ones they were in cahoots with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's kind of almost like an Avengers type. There were other superheroes like in this movie that they mentioned, and like they're kind of just here and there, but like when there is a part where Mr. Incredible has like this, looks like Professor X's fucking Cerebro thing, but like it has like some of the files he was looking through the other superheroes that have been killed off, but they actually filled in that, like she was saying, they filled in the backstory. Yeah,
they filled in the backstory. Mm-hmm. Another thing you have to mention when you're talking about The Incredibles is the ever fabulous Edna Mode. You can't talk about The Incredibles without talking about Edna Mode, who creates the super suits. No capes.
No capes.
No capes. I loved her character so much. Making the baby a suit. I didn't know what his powers were, so I made it completely indestructible to everything. All of that kind of stuff was just.
And she says it very matter-of-factly, like she does it all the time.
Sounds adorable.
Right.
Also, the fact that they had that very, very awesome short, Jack Attacks.
Yes.
Where you do start to see powers. Like, there is, like, Cora, there's a scene where, like, Yeah, they leave the baby with a babysitter so they can go off and go help Mr. Incredible. Like the mom goes, doesn't know the kids were there. Obviously, the kids are kind of in it now. But they have to leave Jack for the babysitter, and it cuts off. Like she calls them on the plane, and it cuts off to them, like the plane getting to the island. The scene is like literally right after that when she's on the phone. She's like, "Hello, like what? Oh well, you're in good hands, kid." And then it just goes to shit for that fucking poor babysitter.
Yeah.
So if you could have the powers of the people in the movie, what would your power be?
I want the invisibility and the shields.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. Although I feel like Dash would be just kind of fun. I mean, he can run on water. He's basically Jesus.
Wow. It's really great if you put pictures of Jesus on your walls.
Right there.
Your parents
come on,
like there's your savior.
Oh no.
You know Dash is a kid, but like when you realize he ran across the water, that fucking laugh he let out and like a pure joy when he realized he could do that, and then he just takes the fuck off. I'm like,
the idea of children as superheroes is also really just a good concept.
Yeah.
I mean, it was great in Spy Kids and it was great in The Incredibles.
I mean, and if this doesn't make you want to watch this movie, Cora, like all of their superpowers have something to do with them. Like Mr. Incredible being the dad, he's got to be really strong. He's got to be like the pillar for the family. Miss Elastigirl, Mrs. Incredible, whatever you want to call her, she's got like Mr. Fantastic kind of shit. She can stretch because she's got to be flexible. She's a mom. She's got to be here and there in some different places. Dash is a little fucking hyperactive kid, and I swear, got ADHD, so he's zipping all over the fucking place. Violet's a teenager in high school, so of course she'd want to be invisible and putting up walls, to everyone, because she starts off at
Sounds like Fortnite.
Okay,
like
sure.
Fortnite.
I don't know enough about Fortnite to talk about that.
I do, and I'm mildly confused as to how. That'd be fucking cool. I mean,
well, you're putting up walls all the time and tearing them down.
Oh, well, yeah, but I meant metaphorically. She's walls and wishing she was invisible. I get that.
Oh, okay.
Also, I played the video game for like the PS2 way back in the day. Fucking so much fun. Holy shit.
I never played the video game. I didn't
I
love
played
the movie,
the GameCube game. The GameCube game was fun.
Oh, yeah. So much fun.
What's going on, Randy? Good to see you in the chat, brother. But, yeah, who hasn't talked about this movie yet? I think we all just went on and on. We mentioned one of those movies where it's like everybody kind of loves it, and then it's just like this explosion of everybody loving on the movie.
Fair enough.
So yeah, go check out The Incredibles. As long as there's nothing else anybody wants to say about the movie, it is really, really good. Again, it's such a simple formula. It's like, okay, you've got superheroes, great. There hasn't been a million movies about superheroes. Oh, it's a family of superheroes. Okay, an interesting concept, but yeah, how do you do it in this context? And then you bring in the great voice acting. You just kind of do it. Oh, by the way, what's her name? Let me bring it back up here. Edna Mode was actually voiced by Brad Bird, the director. So
the director.
I did not know when the movie first came out. I didn't actually learn that until about a year or so ago. But yeah, just a really great movie overall. Again, it's just one of those things like Pixar figures it out. They're just like, we're just gonna take
also,
3 or 4 things, sprinkle it into a pot, stir it up, and we're just gonna come out with something that's freaking awesome.
Also, if you know, you know. He's like, I know. Freeze.
I know.
That wasn't the most badass thing. Freeze.
And then Samuel L. Jackson.
I'm just getting a drink.
One time, one time, I want Disney to let him slip and say, motherfucker. Just one time. Is it that hard? You're allowed one without getting an R rating. You're allowed one as long as it's just one and it's not in the context of any sexual act. You're allowed one. Can't you just let him have one? Come on, Disney.
Freeze, motherfucker!
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. That's the only one we need. And then the whole theater, I guarantee, would lose their shit. I guarantee the entire theater would go apeshit if he did that.
The fucking super suit!
Where's my fucking super suit?
As long as you talk about snakes in a suit?
As long as he doesn't turn around and slap his wife or something like that, I think we'll be okay. We're not going to be pushing an R rating. I think we'll be fine.
Wait, didn't he marry one of the superheroes?
I have no idea.
He did.
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
He did. He married one of them, like Apogee or something. I can't remember her name. That was the whole point, yeah.
Moving on now, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite movies that I always enjoyed as a kid. That's The Rescuers. Look, I know this movie is straight up from like the late 70s, But I gotta be honest, this is one of those movies from like when I was, I can't even remember how old, very young. I'll just say very young. Up until late into my teenage years, I would just sit and watch this thing for shits and giggles. But I mean, seriously, the voice talent alone. Look, it's a pretty simple story. The animation wasn't great. I'll admit, especially even by I think 1970 standards, it was not much better than any of the old Scooby-Doo cartoons. But it's like, it was a fun enough story. It was action. You had these two characters that were kind of paired together that were not exactly, I mean, on paper they didn't really match up. I'm trying to make sure I pull up all my information so I actually have it, so I'm not misquoting any shit, because I hate to misquote shit. But, you know, like I said, it came out in 1977, and it had the voice talents of Bob Newhart and Ava Gabor. So you've got a couple of absolute legends that are doing the characters, Miss Bianca, who is the female mouse, and Bernard. And then you also have Geraldine Page, who is a Hall of Famer in herself, playing Madame Medusa, the bad guy. But, I mean, it's just a fun movie. That, and honestly, I always like the idea of living on an old, after seeing this movie, I like the idea of living on an old, decrepit, like, riverboat that was just sitting there in the bogs of New Orleans somewhere, just chilling out. I was like, that'd be a pretty cool space to have. Now, of course, that was back when I was 10 years old and didn't have things like the internet and other cool things to keep me occupied. But, yeah, I've always thought this movie was very, very fun. And again, it was kind of from that kind of prime era of animation to where it's like, this really was the best stuff you could possibly get. It was like this and Saturday morning cartoons. That was where all the good animation was. But yeah, a fantastic movie. I'm willing to bet that probably none of you have ever seen this movie. It actually spawned a sequel that came out in 1990, I believe, called The Rescuers Down Under. That one you guys may have come across. But this one being...
I've seen it.
This one being so old...
Fuck you! I've seen both.
Oh, okay, okay.
Wow.
Well, you were correct about assuming I'd only seen the ones down under, so.
I still have them out there. I got a whole fucking lot of VHSs. Most of them are part of Disney. Probably 80% was Disney. That is.
But yeah, the whole point of the movie is that Bernard and Miss Bianca, they're actually a member of, I guess it's like some MI6 for animals called the Rescue Aid Society. It's a mouse organization of some kind. I don't know. It's Disney. It's animation. You have fun with it. They receive a message in a bottle of all things from an orphan girl who appears to have been kidnapped by this Madame Medusa, who is a selfish woman that is, you know, basically just big twat waffle. And she has no qualms about it.
Looks a lot like Cruella from, not Cruella, but, you guys were talking about earlier from Little Mermaid.
Ursula?
Yes.
That's what she looks like, yeah.
I think I just made it.
Who knows, man? Those are fortuitous human. Make the movie, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun, like I said, I just thought it was a fun movie. I don't know, which one of you have seen this? I know,
I have.
Yeah, you have. Go ahead and talk about it for just a second. What do you think of the movie?
Well, I loved it. I grew up watching Green Acres, so I was a fan of Ava Gabor at a young age. And I also watched a lot of stuff with just old shit, like stuff that my grandparents watched. And so the fact that, you know, Bob Newhart's in it, I knew who he was. This movie, I thought was very cute. This also contributed to my fear of water with crocodiles and alligators and sharks being in the water potentially at a very young age. I thought the costuming and how they dressed the characters was very on point for what the personalities were, which you don't necessarily see in cartoon movies. It was very adorable. I mean, I love how the girl at the end, you know, she donates, you know, the stone to the Smithsonian. And then when I was 10 years old, I got to go to the Smithsonian and see the Hope Diamond in person. And so I actually thought about this movie when I was at the Smithsonian, thinking what it would be like to see the, you know, the stone that Penny found. But anyways, so yeah, cute movie. I loved it. I had forgotten about it, so thank you, Frank, for reminding me.
Jeremy, what did you think of this movie? You said you've seen them both.
Yes. I mean, now admittedly it has been a long fucked up time. I probably was actually a kid. But the one and now this is coming back as I have seen it. Now this is coming back as an adult. Was this not the movie that had that one really? If you know, you know. What I'm talking about scene where they're like, it's like they're flying down and fucking in one of the windows there was a topless woman. It was a quick frame, like there was a whole
Oh,
there was a
okay.
whole controversy. Like it was flat out. Like,
Yeah,
you don't know that?
I remember
Oh, you
that.
do?
I don't know if it's exactly. I don't know
Okay.
if it's true. I've never caught it myself, but it's one of those things.
I don't know.
Like, yeah, it's one of the things like the penises on the cover of the DVD art of the video art for like
Or the word
Mermaid.
sex in the stars and
Yeah.
Lion King.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's one of those things.
I've seen now. Look, I mean, it's like it was on. I think it's on like some of the original VHSs. It's like now I don't know if it could be Photoshop, but it was like an actual. It looked like it was an actual picture because it goes by a frame that fast, and the animation's not focused on that. And then it goes by so fucking quick that you never know. I don't know who. I mean, I guess you play odds. Someone paused it probably and saw it and was like, "Whoa!" It's since been like changed to something else, but I mean. We all sat there and tried to fucking pause. Was it Basic Instinct? Sharon Stone. Like, come on, don't lie to yourself. You did it. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Exactly. Yeah, I do recall that now that you mention it. So like I said, it's been a while since.
Yeah.
I have no idea that, and maybe even in the years since they've actually gone and like all the newer copies of it anyway, they've kind of gone and factored them out. If that even was the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been forever since I've seen this movie. But I was just looking down.
It'd be funny.
Yeah,
it'd be funny if you could get away with that. You know what I mean?
Hey, I'm sure they've gotten away with crazier stuff that nobody's ever caught in movies before, that nobody's ever mentioned. They just kind of do it because it's funny. They have their own little giggle out of it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have anything to say about this movie before we move on?
No.
Okay, then let's move on to the next one. And I think the next one is we're going to be back to Miss Cora. What's the next one you want to talk about?
Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl, with a huge nod and honorable mention to the subsequent films. So basically the trilogy in general, but specifically the first one that came out in 2003. This was a game changer for me, for, Disney movies. I was shocked at how great it was. I mean, they got some pretty amazing people in it. Johnny Depp, Jeffrey Rush, Orlando Bloom, Keira Knightley. I remember watching Jack Davenport on this British comedy show. So, Norrington was played by this cool guy I knew, Jonathan Pryce. I mean, they had an amazing cast of pirates. Just fantastic movie. I just, I'll never forget the scene when Keira Knightley's hiding in the closet and the one guy comes out and goes, "Hello, Poppet." And, exactly. And I don't know, I've always been kind of fascinated with pirate stories, and so the fact that this was done so fucking well. Loved it. Loved all the movies in general, this one specifically. And Disney could do no wrong with this in my book. The music, the lighting, the CG, the plot pacing was good. I mean, they didn't do too much, get to know the characters. It was just kind of like, well, here's the basics, and then you get to know them as you go through the action. And those are the kind of movies I liked. And I mean, Jeffrey Bruckheimer, I mean, he speaks a lot in itself that he produced it. I don't really know anything about this Gore Verbinski guy who directed it. Yeah, I the name never stuck out to me, but it's a great movie. And I forget who Johnny Depp attributed to the character that he kind of played. It was based on that one
Keith Richards.
Yeah, mixed with somebody else. And I remember thinking, what a cool idea of taking, the concept of two people you think would be...
Pepe Le Pew.
I don't know. I just...
Pepe Le Pew.
Okay.
Oh, trust me, it was. That's that suave, like where he thinks he's really cool and, can get anyone he wants.
And then for him to get that guy, Keith Richards, in one of the movies later on was fucking cool.
That was pretty cool.
And it's just
awesome.
A trilogy that's stunning to me. And I mean, they spent $140 million, and the box office was $654 million. I mean, it made money. It got people interested in Disney again, I think, and it was just fucking fantastic. So I think most people have seen this. So I don't have to talk about it, about the story or anything. But fuck yeah. There you go.
Yeah, Gore Verbinski's actually worked a lot with Johnny Depp. He also did Rango and the Lone Ranger for Disney.
Oh,
as well as doing some other things like A Cure for Wellness, which is a pretty interesting movie.
So you think he was behind the casting choice then?
That was a wild movie.
Maybe he wasn't behind the casting, but maybe it just worked out, because I think those movies actually all came after Pirates of the Caribbean. He also did The Weatherman with Nicolas Cage, The Mexican with Brad Pitt. And he's done a lot of other producing for television. He's directed the Academy Awards, I think, one time. So yeah, he's done a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts about Pirates of the Caribbean?
Did you say me or her?
Jeremy, it's you.
Well, you cut out. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, stupid discount.
Whatever. Yeah. This is again 2003. This is a game when I was also like I was kind of a kid growing up. This movie was fucking so cool. Pirates. Kind of like I knew who Johnny Depp was, and I knew who Orlando Bloom was. Weirdly enough, because I had watched Lord of the Rings as like a kid, and I was like, why does Legolas have brown hair? What the fuck? I was so confused. Yeah, he's not an elf. No. That's how I was like, that's not. Wait, that's him, but that's not him. I was a kid. I attached him to Legolas. I'm sorry.
In the LARPing world, elf is a derogatory term. I learned that today going down a YouTube rabbit hole today.
Well, you want to talk about the racism with elves? I'll sit here and do a whole separate show with you on that because it's true. Because I play as an elf and I have to fucking defend myself all the time. Anyway. And also because I'm like, well, I'd seen Star Wars as a kid, so Keira Knightley, who was the totally not Queen Amidala. Yeah. Shit. I mean, it's a cool movie. Again, I'm gonna sit here and jerk off the fucking composer. Great fucking soundtrack. Played it. I played it in school, in high school. That was Here's the thing. I was the only person in my fucking section. I got a solo to myself because they didn't know the main dun, 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 dun. They didn't know that they'd never seen the movie. I was so pissed off at my whole section. I'm like, fuck all of you, you're fired. Get out of my fucking section. I hate you. Yeah, it was fun. And
Jeremy
to this day, I still say shit. Yeah. I still say savvy. I still say, shit like that. A lot of Jack Sparrow mannerisms.
That's okay. A lot of. I think eventually, and maybe we're not there yet, but I think these movies will become like cult classics. The pirate movies.
Here's my thing. Let's just revel in the fact for a second that this is a ride at Disney, and they made a fucking movie out of it. I was like, what?
Yeah, they did it backwards.
To me, that's kind of part of it.
When they made.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was watching the Mansion the other day, this movie. Yeah, as you do. It's on Disney Plus. Go check it out. And I was like, wait, that's a ride at Disney too. I'm like, all right, I want to see universe movies of the rides. Give me the Teacup movie. I want to fucking see it. You know what I mean?
What about It's a Small World?
Right. And I'm like, that's cool. You made your own fucking thing out of it. Just a ride at Disney. I'm like, how cool is that? And a fucking live movie. And I think it was the first one that had been PG-13, the highest rating for a Disney movie at that time.
Yeah.
So that was kind of that was cool. It's not too gritty, but it's real. You know what I mean? And that's what was so damn cool about it. And I thought, it was cool.
Same here.
Yeah, one of the brilliant things about this is some guy was just sitting around some writer's room bored one day at their offices in LA, and he's like, that Pirates of the Caribbean ride, we should just make a movie out of that. And then $4.8 billion later, they've got this whole series of movies, and Disney's like, all we have to do is, see that garbage can over there at Adventureland? Let's make a movie about that. $1 billion. Okay, see that stick of gum that says somebody dropped out of somebody's pocket laying on the ground over there and over by Frontierland? Let's make a movie out of that. Another $1 billion. It's like, Jesus Christ, Disney's just like, whatever. Somebody cut a loud fart in the meeting the other day. Let Pixar have that one. It's like, come on, just stop it. Now, not all these little experiments have actually worked out very well, though. They did just come out with that Jungle Cruise movie. The one
right.
Yeah, that's on the list of summer movies that I don't know if I'm going to watch.
It's already getting
know
shit
about that.
all over. It's already... They're already about to just dump it on Disney Plus. I don't even think they're going to make it a premium release. They're just going to be like, put it out there, whatever, because it's already been getting shit on pretty badly. But still, I mean, that's like one miss in like 500 movies. It's like they just walk around Disney anymore. They flip a coin into what they're going to make a movie about. And then $1 billion later, we've all bought all kinds of tickets. We were all sitting here making videos about it on YouTube, and that's what Disney does. That's kind of the brilliance of it all. Rachel, do you have anything to say about this movie?
Not seen the complete movie, the first one or the rest of them all the way through.
Really?
Yeah. When was the first one released?
2003.
Yeah, 3.
I wasn't allowed to watch these.
I'm sure.
I grew up in a very strict household, and that rating was not appropriate for me at the age I was.
A Disney movie wasn't appropriate for you?
A PG-13 Disney movie.
Look.
There's pirates,
there's
references to sex, there's references to murder. I mean,
yeah, we could spend all night talking about things I wasn't allowed to watch growing up. Like, I could spend the next 4 hours explaining things that I wasn't allowed to watch growing up. This happened to be one of them. Therefore, I've not actually gotten around to watching it in its entirety. So
I am such a bad influence on you. I'm just ruining your life. Sorry.
The score, however, in band, because I was also a nerd, we also did the score. The score is beautiful. I love it's beautiful. I mean, it was fun to play. It's fun to listen to. I just, again, have never seen the entirety of any of the movies because by the time I was allowed to watch them, I didn't really have much of an interest in watching them. But
I'm sure that big Jesus has nothing. That big
Probably
Jesus behind you has nothing to do with it. I'm sure.
No.
Oh, Jeremy.
Well, I'm putting that down on the fucking list. Damn it!
You're a devil, Jerry. Ironically enough, I think this is probably the best movie out of the entire franchise. There was a little bit of a diminishing return.
Yes.
But it's like this one was so original and so good and so well acted, and this is before there was a lot of Johnny Depp fatigue. This was kind of the high point of him playing kind of those weird, eccentric characters. Because like after this, we ended up getting that terrible version of Willy Wonka and then Alice in Wonderland, and it got a little bit cartoonish. It's like this was just the right amount of weird, eccentric, odd kind of behavior that we can get from Johnny Depp, and it'd be perfect. Because like he's still acting, he's still doing his thing, but it's like it's just those little mannerisms and things like that, and kind of the way he talks. It's a lot more subtle than all his other characters that he ended up doing down the line that were so like over dramatic, so weird, so caked with makeup, so whatever. It's like this was a much more believable kind of weird character that Johnny Depp could have played. I mean, it was either this or Rango, and then after that, all the other crap that he's done, where he's put on like 35 pounds of makeup to look weird, like Alice in Wonderland, not good. Didn't like the movie, hated it.
I agree with you about this being the best in the franchise, but I will say I like they did do follow-up movies to kind of have continuation and finality where the characters end up, because you kind of get curious about where they're going to go by the get to the end of this movie. You get to this movie.
Because that big cliffhanger at the end of the second one, you're like, what? What?
Wait, how'd that work?
Yeah.
Didn't die? Like, get you going.
And then the casting, it's like you get, Orlando Bloom was, this was, well, I mean, he had been in some things before, but I mean, this is a big breakout for him. Same thing with Keira Knightley. She was actually kind of a darling of Disney. Movie. Yeah, she had actually done, hey, it was like this and Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings movie,
I think those
all fucking
I think those all came out within like a year of each other, so I mean, they're kind of like one and the same.
Yeah.
But it's like even Keira Knightley had been kind of on her way up in Disney. She had done a couple like goofier kid kind of movies like Bend It Like Beckham and stuff like that. And so this was like the big coming out party for her. And then you add in someone like Jeffrey Rush, who's just too stupid talented.
Phenomenal.
And then to top it off is he basically gets to play a Shakespearean bad guy. And that's, I mean, also like all the training that he had done his entire career anyway. He just dropped him right in there. They were like, go be this guy. And he's like, yeah, it's easy. I've been doing that shit for 40 years. So, yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's a really good series. Like I said, there was a little bit of diminishing returns towards the end. I think the last one, they kind of got things back on track really, really well. And I thought it was a pretty good ending to the franchise, if they're going to end it there. They're already talking about reboots and other sequels. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll see what Disney decides to do when they get there. But that's Pirates of the Caribbean. Go ahead.
I still giggle at bootstraps. That's just fucking funny.
Parlay.
Parlay.
I use that when I use that term.
I say savvy all the time.
I still do. Every now and again. Like, hey, he's savvy.
Why is the rum gone?
That's the one I've actually used more because I'm kind of an alcoholic. Like,
that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie when they get on the island, Kira and Johnny's characters, and he finds this hoard of rum, and she's like, "That's no good. We can't survive on rum. We don't have food." And he's like, "We don't need anything more than rum."
Right.
You know, it's just
welcome to the Caribbean, love.
No doubt. But I think if I'm not having this scroll screwed up again, I think it's my turn again. So,
yes.
Which one should I go with next?
No, wait.
It's Rachel.
Is it Rachel?
Rachel, you got me mixed up because I went and then you went.
Oh, because I forgot to mark it off. See what happens when I don't mark things off? It is Rachel's turn. I was like, everybody's even. It must be back to me now. It is Rachel. Rachel, go for it.
So this one's kind of, I think, a bit more of a rare movie that not a lot of people would have on their list of favorite Disney movies, just because this franchise in general is my favorite. The next one I have is Piglet's Big Movie, which came out in 2003. This movie directly follows the book, The House at Pooh Corner, pretty much directly. So basically what happens is Piglet is trying to help out all of his friends, and they're all like, "You're too small, all this other stuff." And so he runs away, and everyone notices eventually, well, where's Piglet? And they have to go look for Piglet, and to do this, they found Piglet's scrapbook of all the adventures they'd been on in the past, and all of those directly follow the book, like, directly, which I love the continuity of that, because I loved the book, loved the movie. They eventually, end up accidentally breaking the scrapbook. It falls off a ledge. They find Piglet, and then there's another scene also where, after they've lost the scrapbook but hadn't found Piglet yet, they all go back to Piglet's house and are sad and, hoping that he comes back. And they are drawing out all of the more recent adventures they'd had together with Piglet and, realizing all the things that Piglet had done for them. Eventually finding Piglet, he's sad about his scrapbook, but he comes home to all of these pictures and happy memories with all of his friends. This movie just really felt like the nostalgia for me for this movie was just so great. I loved this movie. I mean, the Winnie the Pooh franchise is my favorite Disney franchise. So, and this was one of my favorite movies from that.
Cora, I know you're chomping at the bit. This is right up your alley.
Me?
Yeah.
You cut out.
I said this is probably something you have something to say about. This seems like it's something that's right up your alley.
Well, I was born to love Winnie the Pooh because Winnie the Pooh was the theme of my baby nursery.
Nice.
Like 1980, 81 Winnie the Pooh fabric and stuff everywhere. I still have some of it. If I find it, Rachel, I'll send it to you because I won't ever have children. So, I haven't seen this specific movie, but I love everything Winnie the Pooh myself. There's so many, you know how you spoke of that movie Inside Out? Mm-hmm. If you look at all the main characters, they're all kind of parts of a combined personality. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, Absolutely. Sometimes I feel like Tigger, sometimes I feel like Eeyore, sometimes I feel like all of them. And Pooh is just so lovable. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just, we all want to be Christopher Robin and have these guys as our friends.
Yes. Absolutely.
And there's something very loving, and I like how Disney's handled the Winnie the Pooh stories in a very careful way, like you said, that respects the source material in a way that, isn't usually done in the movies. So I will be adding this to my watch list.
So good. There's also an original song at the end of this movie.
I was about to say, I wonder if the
music
the music is as good as the other Pooh content.
Absolutely.
On my short list of tattoos, I've always wanted, because I don't have any tattoos, but I've always thought of getting one or two. Mm-hmm. Something Winnie the Pooh is on that list of tattoo ideas. Yes. So that should tell you something.
Yes.
Should we both say it at the same time, Jeremy?
You haven't seen it?
Never seen this.
Yeah. I knew it was going to be one that wasn't as watched as some other things, but
It's
is one
good
of
you
my
brought it
favorite.
up to bring up the Winnie the Pooh franchise, though.
I'm glad everyone's speaking for me. I have seen this movie, you fucking assholes.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Oh!
I'm so sorry.
All right.
I was
think
like,
somebody's
what
got
are we
brownie
saying?
points.
Like, I would hope so. Jesus, by this point. Hey, I am the one that showed her, like, we were talking about, like, handling the franchise well. We watched the one with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I still thought it was a really good movie. You know, where Christopher Robin is now an adult, and he still goes back to the 100-acre wood, and, you know, Pooh Bear's a little older, but he's
Cried so much at that
I
movie.
know, I'm sorry. Like, I figured you'd still appreciate it, though.
Yes.
I love it.
Ugh.
And I found that book of like the way to put stuff in my house, and I was like, well, hey, there you go. I don't know where she's at. I'm pointing this way on my screen. She's right there. I don't know which way she's going. I'm probably pointing to nothing. Yeah, right. Yeah, I think I remember again seeing this. See, 2003 is when Pirates came out. She was fucking not watching that. She was watching this movie.
I was watching Piglet.
Right. I think I do remember. Yeah, that was my 2003. I watched Pirates and fucking Piglet. It was weird to hear. I think I do remember this because I remember seeing this, like the one where Christopher Robin went missing. I remember seeing the original Pooh. Or the Ticker movie, even for.
Oh yeah.
Whenever that came out, yeah. So,
They also made
you know.
series. They made series of these movies. I mean,
Yeah.
of Winnie the
I watched
Pooh. Like
a lot
there
of
was
them on
Right.
the Disney
multiple
Channel back in the
different
day.
ones. Yeah. Which I enjoyed all of those also.
I was gonna say, I think I know they're all different personalities, but I'm pretty sure I'm just like Eeyore like 80% of the time. But it's okay.
You're a mix of
They-
Eeyore and Tigger.
That's yeah, that's probably
That's my
fair.
opinion. I'm a mix.
And you're
of
not
Eeyore
wrong,
and Piglet.
honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a mix of Eeyore and Piglet. Those are my two primary. Kind of sometimes Rabbit. Sometimes Rabbit.
Little OCD.
Yeah,
It's all
a little
good.
bit.
If I had to compare myself to any of these characters, it'd be Eeyore.
If we're gonna say it
not even
together,
close
I
to
thought-
anybody else.
Yeah.
You got the voice for it.
Fair enough.
Thanks for noticing me.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
get the bass. I can nail that.
Right.
Go see Piglet's
You should
Big
deliver
Movie.
pizzas with that voice, Frank. Hi, here's your pizza.
Oh, I want them to tip me. They're all sad. They're just like, go
Right.
away.
They
Here.
might, but they might tip you because they feel bad for you that you seem so sad.
They won't tip me. They're all cheap bastards. They don't care.
No, they will. They will tip him. They will tip him and be like, "Thanks for tipping me."
Thanks for tipping me.
I wish I was in your town so I could order pizza and say, I
Oh,
request
man.
the delivery drivers talk in Eeyore tone.
Now, if you request
Right.
if you request something, I'll go in for fun. It's like there's one person I deliver to
Right.
pretty regularly. The directions are, instead of knocking the door, go no, Batman. And I do it. I absolutely do it. I walk
Awesome.
right to the door.
I want to see your body cam coverage from that
And-
delivery.
And just
Oh, God,
full
yes.
throated. I'm like, Batman. And they walk out, you're like, you're cool, bro. And I'm like, I know. I'm with you on
That's
this one.
amazing.
Yeah, there's a couple of funny ones I'll do. There's other things I won't. But that's Piglet's Big Movie. Go check out that movie. I have no idea what streaming service you're going to find it on, but you'll find it on one of them. And when you do, go watch it.
Yeah,
And I think we're up to
somewhere.
Jeremy next. Jeremy, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
We didn't get forgotten.
Oh my God.
Let's celebrate. Woo!
He did it.
Well, I'm caught up on my
All right,
checklist now.
So, right. Shit. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's go a little bit, not just tone, but I guess go darker with this. I'm going to 1996 with James and the Giant Peach.
Oh my god.
See, now because I'm going to honorable mention something real fast because it's in the same vein. I put Nightmare Before Christmas as an honorable mention because I know Frank hates it. So that was there. So you walk, I didn't put it on the list. So anyway, I did it for you, man.
Of course you did.
So the other one that's basically, I know. Look, Well, I know we're in Bright Red, but obviously that's kind of been up my alley too. Yeah, I mean, this is definitely totally not like a Tim Burton-esque movie, but I mean, shit, this is a wild movie. I had a thing up. Hold on. The cast list up. I mean, shit, you've got Richard Dreyfuss, Centipede, Miriam,
Pete Postlethwaite. I'm saying it
yeah,
wrong.
fucking Postlethwaite, yeah.
Richard
Rest in
Dreyfuss, for
peace,
fuck's
man.
sake. I mean,
Susan
Shane Lee's from
Sarandon is the
Frasier.
spider.
Yeah,
Shit.
Miriam Margolyes. Isn't she in the Harry Potter movies? Margolyes,
Yeah,
Miriam
she is.
Margolyes.
Frank,
Yeah.
you're Spanish. You tell us.
Yeah,
she was
she
Professor Sprout. She's cool.
yeah, she played Professor Sprout. It took me a minute to see her face. I was
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, the name sounds familiar.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, and again, yeah, Pete Postlethwaite. That's not what I want. He plays like that mysterious, like weird kind of dude who gives him the gives. James has got a pretty shitty life with his two aunts who just, I know this whole movie's dark and Burton-esque, but I mean, like his version of the Dursleys, they're just fucking awful people. They live on that like the little sketchy house up on the hill, and I think the spider is the first the first one you see that he makes friends with. But I guess we're assuming is the one from Ron Susan Sarandon. Yeah, and he gets this little bag of like the little the magic. I called them like little green spaghetti noodles. I don't know what the fuck they were. And he fucking trips, and then the little dead oak tree that they had in their yard. I mean, this is the shock. Is a big fucking peach just starts growing on this tree. It's the only little sliver of color, and they're like, "Holy crap, that tree's been dead forever. It doesn't have, Lo and behold, the fucking peach takes over the entire. It becomes huge, like bigger than the house, everything. And then that's when it transforms from the live action to like the the Burton like stop motion kind of shit. And the whole point was that James's parents, they were talking about going to New York, the tallest building in the world at the time, Empire State Building. They never got to because his parents got eaten by the rhino. That's what that thing was called, the rhino. It was terrifying. That was also terrifying as a kid. Jesus. So it's kind of like Up, I guess. They take the peach and it was the seagulls. They put seagulls on the thing and just fly out. Just fly off, and they're on their way to the Big Apple with their big peach, which I think was the joke.
Cora, what did you think?
I also read the book.
I have seen this movie, and this was in my top 5 all-time beloved books as a kid. Loved James and the Giant Peach. It was introduced to me like in kindergarten or first grade. You're pulling on my heartstrings with this pick, not gonna lie. Yeah, a very good film adaptation in my opinion. Like you said, it has the look of Tim Burton, but not necessarily Tim Burton, which isn't really my preferred style of like animation, but I have high respect and many kudos for all the work that went into making this. And love it. Yeah.
Rachel, how about you? What do you think?
Random vivid memories of just like snippets of this movie. I don't remember it in its entirety. I do definitely remember just the giant peach. I mean, the name implies. So. I mean, that like just scenes of that. I remember the spider. I don't remember a lot about it, but I do remember really liking it and liking that weird aspect of just how weird this movie was. I just remember it being a very weird movie, and that's something that I really like. I like weird movies, so it worked for me.
It seemed like the 90s was all about this weird kind of art. Like, especially in this animated stuff, because like Disney was pouring it out just one after another, like really throughout the entire decade of the 90s. It seemed like it was not quite dark, but very... It was kind of standard animation with dark lines, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe. But it is definitely...
Eeyore.
Yeah, it's definitely an...
Eeyore.
Yeah, it's definitely a very weird era of animation that kind of stands out amongst all the others. I gotta admit, I never saw this movie. I saw bits and pieces of it. The marketing didn't do anything for me. Again, it came out at a time where all I wanted to watch was, action movies, and I wasn't really getting deep into the movie making stuff or what was good. So it's just that era that I missed. Ultimately, that's all I can really say about it.
That's why I keep trying to tell you how great it is, because I was there and came from it. Shit.
Well, I'm not going to take your word for it.
My word's the only words you have. Damn it, you had your chance. You wanted fucking topless women, machine guns, and explosions. I'm sorry, I couldn't give it to you.
Hey, if James and the Giant Peach would have given me a couple of topless shots of a hot actress, maybe I'd have gone to see it.
After reading the book as a kid, I don't think it has that content, but it's a lovely thought.
It does not. It is a Roald Dahl book. It is based on a Roald Dahl book, so he wasn't known for writing too many scenes like that.
Right.
I don't recall. He died before this came out, didn't he?
Let me look.
Roald Dahl was dead. Because he was also notorious for not really liking the movie adaptations of his books. I know that he did not like Willy Wonka.
He died in 1990, so yes.
So it was right about this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was notorious for not liking a lot of the movie adaptations of his stuff. So he was frustrated. I remember him being mad that Gene Wilder was cast to play Willy Wonka, and that worked out pretty well for everybody else. He just, for some reason, never wanted to let it go.
Right.
But whatever. I mean, again, a great writer. But again, this movie, I mean, it's like the marketing didn't do much for me. It was at that point where I wasn't watching a lot of Disney stuff. I think the only thing I was watching, even slightly childlike at the time, is I would watch Darkwing Duck on a pretty regular basis. That was pretty much it. I don't know why Darkwing Duck was what I used to watch all the time, but that was it.
Fucking cool, man.
When I came home from school, it was Darkwing Duck, homework, and then going to baseball practice. That's all it was.
Hell yeah.
But that is James and the Giant Peach. Go check that one out. I think it's probably a good time for me to go ahead and tell you about one of these movies that I actually popped on my list kind of late. I replaced another movie with this because I saw that Cora had put her movie on there, and I was like, how do you have the second one and not the first one? And it's Tron. I thought it was odd that she would go. I thought it was odd that she would go to the second one, not the first one.
It's because I saw Tron Legacy first, and then I went to see the first one after the fact, and so that was the one that moved me. And I was kind of trying to represent both by my pick, but I picked Tron Legacy first because of that.
Well, the Tron is a 1982 film where hacker/arcade owner Kevin Flynn is digitally broken down into a data stream by a villainous software program. A villainous software pirate. Sorry, I apparently went completely stupid and not remember how to read for a moment. Software pirate known as Master Control and was reconstituted into the internal 3D graphic world of computers. It is there that the ultimately blazing, colorful, geometrically intense landscapes of cyberspace that Flynn joins forces with Tron to outmaneuver the Master Control program that holds them captive in the equivalent of a gigantic, infinitely challenging computer game. For one, this movie's awesome. Just go watch it on its surface. It's a very, very good movie. For two, the whole blue and black color scheme thing that is going on is some of the earliest forms of CGI. Because I know a lot of people use blue screen and green screen now to get different backgrounds and different effects. They actually were wearing the suits that look like black with the blue lining. They were actually gray with like little blue things that glowed on them, and they actually filmed against a black screen and messed with the colors and everything in post to get this effect, which at the time was mind-blowing because nobody had ever done anything quite like this before. I think before this, again, it was Disney, ironically enough, that did it. They went kind of crazy with the movie The Black Hole from the late 70s, I think. One that I've been meaning to touch on this channel for a long time. I just haven't gotten around to it. It's like they really kind of changed the way you do a lot of visual effects in a practical sense, because it was before there was a lot of computer stuff that you could do to mess with the picture. So yeah, I mean this was on the cutting edge of the kind of stuff that you would do for special effects for most of the 80s and into the 90s. And they actually also did in some spots use the same style of filming to do some scenes and some work for Tron Legacy to kind of give it a similar look in times. So yeah, it's again a fantastic movie. I mean, the music. I mean, it's 80s, so the music was great. Any music from the 80s was fantastic. You get a young Jeff Bridges. You get Bruce Boxleitner, Cindy Morgan, who was huge in the 80s and all kinds of stuff. The legendary Bernard Hughes, who plays Dr. Walter Gibbs, that guy in that really weird chair that spins around. All you see is his head. I never quite understood that, but whatever. It looked cool because it was in a computer world, so I was with it. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. And again, it is a movie that set the stage for how special effects were done for the next decade. And again, I think a lot of people remembered this movie and how good it was. And because the second movie was very different, it didn't kind of match expectations. So that's why people kind of shit on it. But it's a fantastic movie. It's got a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and it's at roughly a 6.8 out of 10 on IMDb. It's always been well loved by real film fans. And it's a movie that I think everybody should go see at least once, because it is really, really good. Jeremy, what do you think of this movie?
I'm gonna keep beating Tron over the head. I mean, it's because remember, my favorite movie for the longest time, finally gotten beaten out by Ready Player One, was The Matrix. So this was that same kind of like cool inside a computer world. Fucking, I mean, it has its own technology in the movie that paved the way for other shit. Like you said, like instead of using like a green, they used the blue and they used the black background to make everything. What's the fucking word I'm looking for? I'm just to stand out. That sounds dumb, but like stand out against the background of the world. And I'm going to keep mentioning it because I'm the gamer. The fucking fact that they hid Pac-Man in there on that fucking screen is just absolutely hilarious.
It's an Easter egg that makes a ton of sense when you consider the everything involved in the movie. It makes a ton of sense.
I just saw a neat piece of trivia. The movie itself made a television debut on the first day that Disney Channel was ever running, like on April 18th, 1983. Like they made that part of the opening day programming.
Nice. Well, what a fucking way to kick that off. Hell yeah.
Did you guys know there was a TV show?
No, there was not a TV.
No.
Well, if there was, it probably wasn't long-lived. There was a TV show I remember from the 80s called Automan.
They're saying it's Tron Uprising, and it took place between the timeline of the two movies.
That's an animated thing. Yeah, it was an animated thing.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was a TV show, but it was an animated thing. I don't remember if it aired on, like... I don't remember ever watching it.
Okay.
I think I've seen it on Disney Plus, and I thought about trying to check it out, but I generally tend to stick to the movies. Whenever you make a TV show, especially an animated thing out of a movie, it tends to kind of... It doesn't always watch the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rachel, have you seen this movie? If so, what are some of your thoughts?
No, I have not. I haven't seen it since in between the last time we talked about Tron until now.
Damn.
I couldn't remember if you had said it or
Sorry
not.
to disappoint. I'm so sorry to disappoint, but I have not watched it in the time that it's taken us to talk about the sequel to the...
I forgot. It was a long time ago. I meant to mention it right after she got done with the last one. And I got mixed up, and I was like, shit. But anyway, you're in for a treat when you get a chance to sit and watch it. It's a good movie.
Indeed.
Cora, any quick thoughts on this before we move on?
Love them both. I'm glad that they made the second one because I probably never would have seen this one, which is fantastic in the first place. So,
another thing that stands out about this movie is the sound editing. As they're walking, it makes this weird electronic sound.
Well, they talk about that here, like how it was kind of using the analog synthesizers. It was like very new age even for then. And evidently they hired the London Philharmonic Orchestra to do some of the stuff. So they put a lot of effort into making the music for this.
Nice.
And something about Clockwork Orange, they hired pioneer electronic musician Wendy Carlos, who did stuff for the soundtrack for Clockwork Orange and The Shining.
Really?
Nice.
Yeah.
That's not a bad music pedigree.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Go check out
Good
Tron.
shit.
I'm pretty sure that's on Disney Plus. I think I saw it on there the other day. But like I said, I have the 25th anniversary edition on DVD, or some kind of anniversary edition on DVD. I watch that whenever I watch a movie. But let's see, who are we to next? I think we are back to Lady Cora. What's the next movie you want to talk about?
The next one I'm going to talk about, you already mentioned it actually, Alice in Wonderland in 2010. Because I love the actual original one, the animated one, I wanted to see this, and they released it in 3D. I saw it opening day in the theater in 2010. Tim Burton directed it. This is one of the few Tim Burton movies that I just fucking love. And not only do I love it, but the sequel as well. The caterpillar was always one of my favorite characters, and beloved Alan Rickman did the voice of.
Yes.
And if you look at his movie credits, his voiceovers for the sequel to this, Alice Through the Looking Glass, was his last acting credit before he died. So,
Oh no.
you know, that's in 2016. So this movie just, I don't know, it was like taking the original Alice in Wonderland and just spinning it on its head and filling in so much more content from the book, and which I've read many times, and then, you know, adding that Tim Burton-y, you know, new CGI touch to it, you know, the way they did Helena Bonham, I can never pronounce her name right.
Helena Bonham Carter.
Thank you. Her head being so big on the tiny body. I mean, just visually, it was so pleasing and amazing. And the costuming was just, I mean, I could not have imagined costuming for an adaptation any better than this. Yeah, Johnny Depp was in it, but you know what? The rest of the movie is fantastic, and he is good in the role he did, in my opinion. If you put this together with the sequel, it's a great set, but this movie by itself was very moving, and I just really liked the combination of the visuals, the sound, the acting, the adaptation differences, and overall, very cool experience seeing it in 3D. And the casting was really great. Mia Wasikowska, who played Alice, she was really, really good in that role. It was almost like it was made for her. She played like the perfect Alice. And Anne Hathaway is the White Queen. I've never seen her. Hi, hello. Oh, yes, I am the White Queen. You know, it was so perfect how all of the characters were so well developed in the writing, in the portrayals, in the editing. So it was just a great set of cast and characters, and I love this movie, and it just elevated my love for Alice in Wonderland into an adult level. So for me, it's, you know, I would rate it 8 out of 10. I know IMDb gives it 6.4 out of 10. And I mean, they budgeted 150 to 200 million, and the box office was over $1 billion. So clearly they were doing something right, even if, you know, a lot of people didn't love it. So Tim Burton directed it. I don't really recognize any of the producers, but there you go. Alice in Wonderland 2010.
Rachel, what are some of your thoughts on this movie?
So, to start, I've seen the original animated Alice in Wonderland. I have read Alice in Wonderland. I've read Through the Looking Glass. I have never seen this movie. I don't have a reason why.
I don't
know why I never saw this movie.
I don't think you're missing anything.
I know that.
That's his
We
opinion.
haven't got to my opinion yet. Jeez, we all changed our mind.
I know
After
Avril
Story.
did a
Rachel,
song for this.
I would recommend at least watching it once, even when you're
Yeah.
casually doing things like housework and you don't want to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Still very good.
Yeah, I know Avril Lavigne did a song for this, didn't she? I remember that.
And the dog in this movie, oh, and his little family, oh, adorable. And the mice, oh, so cute.
Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts?
Well, see, like I don't have a reason. I haven't seen this movie. I'm like, well, I'll show you what my fucking level of commitment was to this movie, because I have a funny story about this. When I went to see it, I also saw it when it came out in theaters, and I think this is before they had the whole assigned seating thing. And this may have been why, because but this was just when it was, hey, go grab seats. We walked in that theater, it was fucking packed. There were maybe one seat open between like 10 people, and there were like 3 or 4 of us. So we went in there, and you know what the fuck we did? We walked in and then just sat the fuck down on the floor and watched the movie. they were cool. They didn't kick us out. Any people saw us in the theater, but we didn't. We just sat on the fucking floor next to the chairs and just watched the whole fucking movie. And that was just funny. We said, "Fuck it, we paid for the ticket. We're gonna watch this damn movie." Yeah, I enjoy it, and I don't know if I got had the Johnny Depp burnout, I guess we're calling it now, but he plays the quirky, weird, the Mad Hatter. I mean, and if you know anything about that, and the actual people that made the hats and shit, it was the Mercury or some shit that actually made them a little fucking loopy. So it had its grounds in reality. It makes sense. I just thought he was a cool character. I love his outfit. I love the fucking top and the whole, I guess the weird Wonderland drip, as I can call it now. I don't know what else to call it. I thought he was cool. And the sequel is pretty cool, so I think I ended up watching. I think I had seats in the theater last time.
That's good.
I think I actually had a seat that time.
Yeah, visually, this movie's actually really, really wild, really all over the place. I think visually it's stunning. To me, though, Tim Burton's hit or miss as a filmmaker. He's either really good or he's just not even close. There really
what are your hits with him? If this was a miss.
The first two Batman movies I thought were fantastic. The ones with Michael Keaton were fantastic.
Right.
But then again, he's got okay, the thing I remember about Tim Burton is he has a weird style. Everything he does, he wants to make it very dark. And for some things, that works out very, very well. But because the whole thing with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is we've already had this version that we got back in 1971 that was made that we all grew up with, and we've got that version to go on, and everybody loves it. So when you take that and flip it kind of on the inverse a little bit and make it all dark, for one, that's part of the problem. For two, Johnny Depp was fucking atrocious in that movie. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen him do. I could not stand watching him.
I'll give you that.
It was terrible.
I'll give you that one.
The difference between Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka and his Willy Wonka was night and day. He did not play the same character. And I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, but the book was very dark." Blah blah blah. That wasn't the first movie wasn't like the book. Blah blah blah. For one, that's bullshit. I've watched several interviews where the actors have said there were times where we didn't have scripts on the set. We had the book. We read from the book for our lines. So that's bullshit. I mean, maybe mostly for dialogue and stuff. But I mean, yeah, they were very conscious of the book. But the thing is, like I said, Tim Burton, it's got to be the kind of movie that fits his directorial style. And this one, I think, was probably pretty close, but you still have to walk kind of this fine line between darkness and light. And there is a very... Because, again, we have this one product we've already had from, the 50s when Alice in Wonderland, the cartoon came out, I think. That was because the really, really dark stuff wasn't something a lot of people watched back then. You had this light, airier version that was, kind of cartoonish.
What happened to Wizard of Oz? The Wizard of Oz movie is nothing like the book.
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
Oh, yeah.
True.
But, and you also have to account in that case that they drew different things from all the books because the Wizard of Oz books are actually a series. So
there's
they
14 of them or something?
There's a bunch of them. So they kind of cherry pick things from the entire series of books to throw in the movie. But, I don't know. It's Tim Burton, he's hit or miss. Sometimes it works with his directing style. Sometimes it doesn't. This one just didn't work for me. Now, this movie grew on me a little bit over the couple of years after. But then the more I watched it, I was kind of like, I can't really do it. I can't really do it with Tim Burton. Johnny Depp is just way too weird. Again, this is where I hit Depp burnout. I don't want him to always be this kind of character. Like I said, you had the right amount of weirdness with him with Jack Sparrow. When he tries to overdose on the weirdness is when you get this. Or Willy Wonka.
I don't think he overdosed. I think it was just happened to be. At least for me, he wasn't.
If he would have not had the white face paint and the big buggy eyes like you see in that picture, it would have been a little more grounded. But I was like, I don't want to see a weird caricature of this character. It was just too much. And that's one of the things that Tim Burton does is too much. Now, one of my all-time favorite movies from the 80s is a Tim Burton movie. It was his very first feature film he ever directed. It was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That movie was fucking awesome. And he's done stuff
that chair. Let me tell you, as a kid, the fucking chair creeped me out. You sat on a chair that talked. You sat on a face. No.
That was Pee-wee's
fucking face.
That was Pee-wee's Playhouse. That was not Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Pee-wee's Playhouse
all
was a
the
TV
same.
show. But no, Pee-wee's Big Adventure is
way
way different. Pee-wee's Big Adventure is way different.
I was
Way
scared of
different.
chairs as a kid for a little while. Not kidding.
But yeah, I don't know. He's hit or miss with me, and this movie just didn't do it for me. I don't
That's
think
okay.
I don't think I ever even saw the sequel. I can't say that I ever sat and watched.
It was really good. I was really good. I thought.
That's just me, though. That's just me.
That's okay.
But that is Alice in Wonderland from Miss Cora. Now let's move on to Miss Rachel. Miss Rachel, what's the next movie you want to talk about tonight?
So the next one that I have is the oldest one on my list and was kind of mentioned in the chat sort of near the beginning of this. It is Robin Hood. With the foxes. I loved this movie. I also wanted to bring up the parallels in the animation between Robin Hood and Snow White. There are a lot of parallels in the animation where it's the exact same animation but with different characters. So that's kind of an interesting thing, probably due to budget. This movie has songs that get stuck in your head. I right
Love
now
it.
have the Robin Hood and Little John walking through the forest. That's stuck in my head right now.
And the
It's just in
sheriff,
there.
the sheriff's little, with the gold
Mhm.
jingling in his pocket.
Yep. This movie was just so fun to watch.
Yeah.
You have the little, you have a little bit of everything. You've got the cute little kids. You've got
The creepy
royalty.
snake.
You've got the creepy snake. You've got a love story. I forget what her name is, but the hen who is Miriam's best friend. Love her. Her character is one of my favorites.
Lady Cluck.
Yes, Lady Cluck, that's it. I love her. Her whole character, just this feisty chicken. It's just one of my favorite things to watch. I watched this movie over and over and over as a kid. It really does kind of have a little bit of everything in it that you enjoy. It reminds me a little bit. The story of Robin Hood, anyways, reminds me a little bit of The Princess Bride, which is one of my all-time favorite movies.
Yeah.
Just, the
That's
parallels
fair.
with
That's
it.
fair.
is
What's your
kind of-
dog's name again?
Oh, my dog's name is Buttercup. After
That's
Princess
why.
Buttercup.
That is
She's
why.
asleep. She's asleep on the couch right now, or I would have her say hello. But I'm afraid if I wake her up, she's gonna get frustrated. Don't wake the sleeping princess. But yes, I like the parallels between. I mean, that kind of story I just really like. It has a little bit of everything in it, and
Who's your favorite character?
in Robin Hood?
Yeah.
That's hard. I mean, I like Lady Cluck a lot, but I like the eldest rabbit sister. I really like
Oh.
her also. She's feisty. She's growing up. She's protecting her younger siblings. She's
Mhm.
she's
The mom
helping
has the
Robin
glasses, and it's so
Hood.
sweet.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I loved the rabbits because I loved Peter
Yes.
Rabbits growing up. And
That
so
was my
this movie-
bedroom set as a child. Was Peter
Oh,
Rabbit.
how cool! I just, like you said, I love the culmination of all the characters. The Hound with the leg in the cast,
Oh
and
yes.
and the Friar.
Mhm,
you know,
Friar
and
Tuck. Yes.
The
And the little
ridiculous
church mice.
vultures.
Yeah.
Yes.
The church mice are so cute.
And I think that guy who played Gomer Pyle played one of the vultures.
I think he did.
George Lindsay.
I believe so.
But anyways, yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're
I love
fine.
your pick.
Yes,
you're
this is-
fantastic.
Yeah, this was just. I think this was a well-loved movie among many people. I don't know of anybody who hasn't even seen this movie. I mean, I
And
feel like
there's so much
everybody's-
symbolism.
Yes, that too.
The fake king, the crown never fits.
Mhm.
And Robin Hood always wins, 'cause
Right.
that's the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
I love the fact that that it's not King Richard. It's the fake king. I forget his name off the top of my head also. But
Prince
he's
John.
Prince John sucking
Yeah.
his thumb. Always sucking his thumb.
Yes!
I mean, that's
You have
so
to know-
funny.
Somebody who wrote this knew some asshole who sucked his thumb, and they were
Yes.
trying to make fun of the guy.
Yes, absolutely. It's the same thing with Shrek and Lord Farquaad. It's that same
Mhm.
kind of idea.
Yeah.
Yikes.
And the sheriff was, I mean, it was a
Yes.
lovable bad guy because
Yeah.
he's so cunning. It's like,
Mhm.
if he'd just gone the other way, even just a little bit, he would have been
Right.
a really good guy.
Right. I also love the chicken with the lute guitar thingy in the beginning.
Yes, the
Whistling,
narrator
the
guy, didn't he
narrator.
kind of do that a little bit?
That's
He
Roger Miller.
narrated. He would. Yeah. It was just I love that character too. I mean, there's so many things to love about this movie.
I'm gonna watch it tonight, Rachel, after you picked this. I'm not kidding. It's happening.
Oh, it's super
So
good.
good.
It's one of the movies I grew up watching with Disney too. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts?
Please say you've seen this.
Yes, I've seen
Thank
it. Good God. I say I don't want to say a connoisseur, but yes, I watched it. I have it out there again on VHS. I have a lot of these classic Disney movies. Like I say, I mean, what do I have to say that you guys didn't already say? I mean,
Who's
that
your
damn
favorite
song is stuck in
character?
my head. Thank you. I don't know.
If you could be a character, which
That's a-
one would you be?
Look, this is me being, I guess, an angsty adult. I'd love to be Robin Hood because fuck the rich and their money. So
Yeah.
End of that.
steal from the rich, fucking some other people. Yeah. At least a Robin
Very
Hood type
nice.
of character.
Lady Cluck was voiced by Carol Shelley.
Character is just great. I love the comic relief, but also this strong female character who's, well, I'm gonna fight back. I'm gonna stick, how dare you stick an arrow down my shirt? I'm gonna hit you in the butt with it. Like, I love that. I'm here for that.
Yep. And I loved your outfit too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking this up to make sure, but it says Ringo Starr had a role in the movie somewhere.
Mm.
Maybe,
Where?
maybe it was a musical.
Right. I would
Yeah, it could
assume.
have been part of the score.
IMDb doesn't have him listed in the cast.
Is that joke from Family Guy? Where it's like, look, guys, I made a song. We're gonna put it right here on the fridge so we can see it every day.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him anywhere on here. I don't know why they've got him listed on.
Kurt.
He
on
was the
one.
voice.
He's gotta have.
Ringo.
He's gotta
Robin,
have some.
The character was not voiced by Ringo Starr, but something was about him. Hold on.
Something
just found
based
something.
on him? Be kind of weird.
Character casting error. The character was not voiced by Ringo Starr, but the late Southern comedian Pat Boutram.
The Sheriff of Nottingham. Yeah.
So I think people may have just mistaken him.
Because I was looking at the cast
Interesting.
list on my
Whoops.
on my browser, and it's got him in there, but doesn't have him with the role. And I'm like, that's weird. After all this time, you didn't
Very
bother putting a role in there for him, but whatever.
Ringo's just there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just walked on. He just walked into the animation department
Walk
one day. I was
on
like,
set.
"Hello,
Yeah.
everybody," and then they were like, "Ringo."
Well, Ringo Starr was in the live action version of Robin Hood.
That's true.
It's a film.
Which one?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they were thinking
It
of.
said Robin Hood live action
See.
film. I don't know which one. It was directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada. I'm on some website called something Fandom. And he was in it. Alec Baldwin was as well. And Daniel Radcliffe. And Jim Carrey. Nick
John-
Frost, Simon Pegg.
Fucking
Drawn a blank on all that.
What?
Never even heard of that collection of characters in one movie.
I'm going to put the link in the
yeah,
chat.
I'm like, huh?
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe this is a
I
bad...
know all these people, but
I-
what?
I don't know 100%. I just Googled Ringo Starr and Robin
We went
Hood
down a
and
rabbit
somehow
hole,
came
didn't
up
we?
with that. Oh, Disney's developing it, and they're supposedly that's the list of people who might be in it.
Oh, okay. So that's why we've never heard
shit.
of it.
That'd be cool.
Okay, well, we'll see.
I see.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense.
I
Of course,
was
we haven't
so
heard about it.
confused.
We'll have to pay attention for when that one comes out. That could be an interesting movie review.
Right.
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 Evidently, the report came out in the Hollywood Reporter in April of 2020 that they're developing a live action, and this is like the list of people who are potentially tied to it. Charlize Theron, Chris, yeah, Bruce Willis.
This is why I told Frank too. This is why I told him like specifically. When I realized I just said Robin Hood, I was like, I mentioned which of the 78,000 Robin Hoods there are that have the same fucking title.
Right.
Which one it is?
No doubt.
I was like, wait. Right. Oh god damn it. We're not talking about Carrie Owens.
No tights.
Evidently, Ringo was going to play Ringo Starr's rumored to be playing King Richard the Lion, and Daniel Radcliffe will be Robin Hood. Alec Baldwin will be Friar Tuck. Jim Carrey will be Sir Hiss the Snake.
That's perfect casting.
Right.
So it's going to be animated. So it's going to be animated, not live action.
Yeah, Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are going to be the Vultures.
Okay.
Of course. I was like, they're not the Vultures.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
Tina Fey's going to be in it as a bunny.
That makes sense.
Tommy Lee Jones. Man, they got a lot of people in this. But if it's real. But yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I grew up watching.
Yeah, it's voice actors for motion capture.
Yeah, I grew up watching Robin Hood as well. It's fantastic. Again, it was from that era of Disney that was magical. They couldn't do anything bad.
Amen.
It's fantastic. Just go check this stuff out. I'm pretty sure it's available on Disney Plus. I think I saw it on there recently.
Yeah, it is.
My only problem with some of these older ones.
Recently.
Yeah, my only problem with some of these older ones is they've put up different versions of them in the last 10 or 15 years for various reasons. So I don't know which version is on there, because I know that my parents still have a bunch of old VHS tapes. I know they had a bunch of the old Disney stuff on VHS years ago when they came in those big, ugly, bulky plastic ones. But
yep, I know
those. Yeah, I know that a lot of the stuff that you get. I know a lot of the stuff that you can go buy now on physical media, if anybody buys physical media anymore, or some of the stuff you find on the streaming services. They're different versions, and I'm not just talking about they've been toyed with to make them like 4K or to clean up the visuals or anything.
You mean the PC police editing shit out?
Some of that stuff. It's some of that, things like that. So I don't know. I mean, but anyway, whatever version you get, you're probably gonna get one you like. Yeah, fuck censorship. But I forget where the hell we're at now. I think we're back to Jeremy, right?
It would be...
Yeah. Because this was mine.
All right, go for it, Jeremy. What's the next one you want to talk about?
Not Jeremy if you're skipping him.
Not yet.
Right. It's nice that I keep mildly having segues into something we just previously talked about. You're talking about, like, an older sibling protecting and watching over a younger sibling. Oh, that leads us to 2002 with Lilo and Stitch. Again, 2002. I was a fucking kid. And I thought, again, I think I watched this recently, and I remember, and now seeing in the credits, it's like based on an idea. I'm like, that's the credit. I'm like, who just has an idea of, hey, what if a fucking alien just like, boom, crashed on the Earth in Hawaii, found by this little girl who's being raised by her sister. Their parents are gone. They got the Batman syndrome, the Spider-Man syndrome, every superhero known to man. So you got Stitch, who's made by this, I guess, mad alien scientist, Jumbo Jukiba, who is, I think, my favorite character because he's fucking hilarious. I don't know why he has a Russian accent, but I don't care. Fine. And his Experiment 626, which is, I guess, his crown jewel, has kind of been deemed, I guess, as this dude puts it, an abomination. And he unfortunately gets loose. He's a little too smart for his own good. They said, yep, he took the red one. He fucking jacks one of their spaceships, and I mean, he doesn't get far. He kind of gets his little joyride and crash lands on an island in Hawaii, where, of course, he's found by Lilo. Yeah, who they mistake him for a dog, and he's just an ugly dog, as they call him. And of course, Lilo thinks he's absolutely perfect. And I don't. This is one of the things I learned later as an adult, which actually breaks my fucking heart. Lilo stands for broken, if I remember correctly, because I don't need to explain that if you've seen the movie. And obviously, Stitch getting it back together. I was like, I hate you, Disney, and I hate you for doing that to me. You got Her older sister, like I said, I mentioned before, is taking care of her, trying to do the best she can because it's just the two of them. And you got the ever wonderful Ving Rhames playing. You have someone like Ving Rhames playing someone named Cobra Bubbles, which is fucking hilarious. You say that like he says it like such a serious with his tone. I'm seeing Pulp Fiction with that fucking tone, but he's Bubbles. It's like Bubbles, and it's like you don't want to make fun of him for it because he'd fucking kick your ass. He's posing as the like child protection agent,
social worker.
Social worker, same, yeah, basically. But we come to find out, of course, he's more badass than that. He's one of the in the thing with the it's hinting at Area 51, or like he convinced. If you can hear that, there she goes, kicking the fuck out of that door because he's dreaming. Nice. So, yeah, and this is one of those movies that this is the starting point of it, and it had, I think, 2 or 3 sequels, or how many, and it's like it's such a cool idea. I love it because like the whole joke is like he's isolated on an island. I think they said the water was something he was either afraid of or he couldn't go into. So it's like, what's he gonna do? He's contained, but in a way he's still loose. He's out here. So and then it spawned TV series, which is also phenomenal and the coolest damn thing ever.
It was a great series.
Yes, amazing series. Because I think it was not Stitch Has a Glitch. One of them. And like Jumba had more experiments, and then all these experiments get loose, and that was like then it's like boom, that starts right into the show. And the cool thing was in the movie case, I probably have it somewhere. It had so that you could find when you start watching the show, where you could check mark off every other experiments that you'd see in the show. So I kept it, and I was like, this is the coolest. Like when it started off, like this is the coolest damn thing I've ever seen. And the whole point is that each Lilo believes that it's all Ohana. That's what they believe in Hawaii. They're all family, so they all have a purpose. That each one of the experiments has a purpose of some sort. Like Sparky, he has electricity in him. The broken lighthouse, and he's the lighthouse now. They all have something special to them that they try in the show. They try to find where their place is. Love it. Also, shout out to the king. The king. Elvis Presley. Thank you very much.
Elvis was the king. Rachel, what do you think of this movie?
I loved this movie so much. I mean, you talk about Elvis, that scene where she's just on the floor with the record player playing Elvis, like that's a whole entire mood. I love
just
the
let
idea.
Me die.
Right, yes. It's a whole mood. Yes. I love the fact that it touched on like also just issues that happen in real life, like very realistic ones, like I'm the older sister taking care of my younger sister and things are not always going right, and now here's this social worker child service protector person coming and critiquing me, and that's a very real thing. And even if you're trying your best, sometimes it doesn't quite work out the way you want it to. Trying to hold down a job, trying to do all those things. I mean, I find the older sister character very real. And then Willow being kind of a social outcast. Around that time, I was a super social outcast also, so I really related with her. With the weird doll that she had and the group of mean girls. And then I found this pet that's super weird, just like me. I mean, that really, it's touching, I think.
Absolutely. Cora, what'd you think of this movie?
Never seen it.
Killing me.
I
think this movie's awesome.
I don't know. I heard of it, but I don't know. I just never got to it.
Yeah,
I had no idea it was about an alien. I'll be honest.
Well, he's about an alien. If you watch the first,
is it kind of like Alf?
Yeah, manner of speaking, sorta. Maybe he ends up on Earth.
Thought of those two the same.
He ends up on Earth in similar circumstances. It's kind of an accident, but I mean, for one, I really liked.
Or is it more like E.T.?
Maybe a mixture
More
of both.
kinky.
But
Yeah.
one of the things I like about it is it is kind of this. There is a whole lot of growth in the Stitch character. That I mean, nobody expects him to ever be any good. He's always going to be too much trouble, and it's just a lesson in don't let anybody convince you that they're not going to be able to change a few things and make themselves way better. You know what I mean? And that's kind of this whole journey. And then you factor that into the fact that these two girls, the young Lilo and her sister, they need that one kind of thing, that one event, that one happening that kind of helps them put their lives in perspective. And that's what Stitch does. So they both get this great thing about... They both get this really important thing from each other. You know what I mean?
So the experience of running into this thing kind of like spurs on them figuring out something in their lives, basically.
That kind of thing. It kind of works that way both for the two girls and for Stitch. They kind of both offer the yin to each other's yangs, and it all kind of fits in perfectly. It helps give them the perspective they need to grow forward, while Stitch is trying to figure out how to be a better whatever the hell he is. A better experiment. That kind of thing. And then, of course, you add in, like, the killer voice cast. I mean, it's got, let's see, Devay Chase, who is an actress, who's been in a lot of stuff. Tia Carrera has been in a bunch of stuff. David Ogden-Stiers, who a lot of people know for MASH and some other stuff. Ving Rhames, Jason Scott Lee. I mean, just so many cool people. Again, a killer voice cast. And again, like Jeremy was saying, a bunch of Elvis music all over this movie. You can never, ever not feel good listening to Elvis Presley.
And you want to know something fucking wild? Have you seen The Ring?
A long time ago.
That was freaky as fuck.
The girl Samara voices Lilo.
Okay.
What? I did not know that.
Like the one or two lines Samara has in The Ring, listen to her fucking voice. It's Lilo. It's fucking weird. I'm like, I looked at that, I'm like,
that is the horror movie with Sarah Jessica Parker, right? Or not, Sarah...
No,
oh, the one from...
See her face a lot.
The one who married Freddie Prinze Jr.
No, not Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Oh, then I'm thinking of the wrong horror movie. My mistake.
Nicole Kidman?
No. I haven't seen The Ring then. I was thinking of that horror movie with her. The TV.
Yeah, she comes crawling out of the fucking TV. Naomi Watts, my bad. They fucking look the same. Shut up. Look, at first, you get confused. You see where I'm at. Yeah, no, it's... Then again, I also got told that the dog who played Cujo also played the dog Beethoven, so... Go fucking figure, you know? It's a good acting, range.
Maybe. It's big time difference between
I heard... Look!
and...
Oh? Both in the 80s, weren't they?
No, Cujo was in the... It was 83. The Beethoven movies were all in the early 90s.
It still happens.
Maybe, I don't know. It's entirely possible. Who the hell knows?
I don't fucking know.
But that is Lilo.
And also, can we give... I want to give one shout out to David. David in this movie for being a fucking king. Himself, not the king. But look, when she was talking, like, Lilo mentioned that, like, Nani talked about his hair being fancy and his butt. He already knew his butt was funny, but the first thing he said was, she thinks my hair's fancy? I'm like, his confidence. I love David.
David's great.
He is a fun character. He is the comic relief in the movie. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I think we're back to me now. I'm going to go big time old school on this one. Maybe not as old school with as I did with my first pick.
Snow White. I was like, wait.
But I'm gonna go back to the '60s. We're gonna go with Mary Poppins, baby. That's a great movie.
Oh, that was on my short list. It almost made the cut. So
this is the movie.
Mad respect.
This is the movie that gave us Julie Andrews. This was like her breakout role. So thank you, Walt Disney, for casting Julie Andrews, even though P.L. Travers did not like her. But then again, that's kind of a running theme in some of these movies, is the original writer of the book didn't like the cast. But you know what? Everybody for, 60 years since then has loved it. So P.L. Travers, you can suck it. You were wrong. Admit it. Deal with it. I don't care.
You didn't complain about Dick Van Dyke, because who the fuck could do that?
Yeah. Dick Van Dyke's... Everybody in this movie is awesome.
Yeah.
One of the funny things about this movie is the one that plays the mother, Gladys Johns. She actually played the grandmother in Superstar, that movie that Molly Shannon and Will Ferrell did back in the 90s. She actually plays like the grandmother in that. And one of the funniest things about that movie, it's like, whenever you say Gladys Johns, I always think of this movie. I know she was in a bunch of shit in the 60s and 70s and into the 80s. But whenever you say her name, I always think of this movie specifically. So it's really, really funny when she gets to that one line, she's like, when I tell you to do this, you better fucking figure it out. So it's like for her to drop an F-bomb after me seeing her in this movie for my entire life, it's just kind of, it just kills me. It makes that line that much funnier. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm a sucker for musicals already, for most of them anyway. And then you throw in the fact that this is just that period of time where Disney was just making the best movies in Hollywood. This is the movie that gave us Julie Andrews. It's phenomenal. And again, another important thing to remember is that that animated scene where they were dancing around the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I dare any of you to try to say it, to try to type that out in the chat without using spell check. That whole scene, that was a first. That was a very interesting thing to do, to try the live action and the animation one over the top of each other. That was a big deal back in 1964. So again, Disney's taken a couple of chances to give us a really cool visual, and they killed it. Cora, what do you think of this movie?
When I get sick, like bedridden sick, there are a few movies I watch over and over again because they're heartwarming and relaxing. This is on the short list. And
Great.
I mean, first of all, Julie Andrews' voice is just a generational gem. And so anything she would, yeah. So that alone is great. And I mean, the plot is just, I mean, I haven't read the book that this is based on. I keep meaning to add it to my Kindle. Thank you for picking it to remind me. There's just something about the storyline of a family that kind of just grew apart for whatever reasons, and they need to kind of, find that glue and bring them back together as a family unit. I love all the scenes in the bank when Dick Van Dyke is pretending to be the banker guy. And the musical numbers, the choreography, the fact that they, use sidewalk art to jump into the art and have this really cool experience, which is kind of like just a musical montage in the middle of the movie, which was fantastic. And then all of the, what are they called? The guys who clean the chimney sweeps, is that it?
Yeah.
The chimney sweeps that are dancing on the roof of all the roofs of all the homes. I mean, that was pretty great choreography and planning. I wish I could have seen this in like Broadway, like back in the day. This would have been a visually stunning presentation on stage. Love the movie. Like I said, I watch it whenever I get sick. And I really liked seeing the follow-up movie a few years back with Tom Hanks, the Saving Mr. Banks movie, which kind of gives you kind of the backside story of the making of this, which was really cool. Yeah. And I forget who they are, but the guys who wrote the songs for the movie, they worked their asses off writing the music and putting the lyrics to it. Very impressive work behind the scenes for Disney. So
Actually,
fantastic.
Some of the songs that were written for this movie that ended up not being used were actually recycled for Bedknobs and Broomsticks with Angela Lansbury a few years later.
Is that why I love Bedknobs and Broomsticks so much?
That was actually one of the ones that I had written down that I might talk about tonight, because I grew up watching that as well.
It barely missed the cut because I'm a big Angela Lansbury fan, and I love in that movie, I know I'm having a squirrel moment here, when they animate all the soldiers in the armor.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just so fucking cool. But anyways, back to Mary Poppins. Fantastic pick. And if you haven't seen this, Jeremy, I can't talk to you ever again. But, good movie.
I say I haven't seen 2 goddamn movies, and now everything is just a fucking joke.
Two movies this show.
Hey, no. I was gonna make a joke. You were like, when you're sick, I'm like, so you're telling me a spoonful of sugar be missing go down? But fuck
you took my joke. I was gonna make that joke. No. Darn it.
No, you don't get the joke. No. I'm taking that one back.
I'll take the heat. I'm sorry for picking on you.
Rachel, what are some of your thoughts on this film?
Oh, no, fine. Fuck me then. All right.
I'll get to you. I do the ladies first. You know that.
Well, I know, but I thought that was my segment for some fucking reason. Go ahead.
Well, since you took my spoonful of sugar joke that I was going to lead
Sorry.
off with, we
I
got
was
that
sitting
out
on the edge of my
way.
seat. I'm like,
I was too. I was waiting. I was like, it's gonna be my turn.
Right.
I'm gonna make a joke.
that's well, fuck all of you then.
I loved this movie. I mean, I've now I have like 5 songs just stuck in my head. Musically, I love I mean, this is a musical basically. I mean, this movie was just really fun. I always liked watching this one as a kid. It wasn't one of the ones that I watched a lot. I feel like it was a really long movie. I could be wrong on that. I just feel like it was really long. But I did really enjoy all of the songs. That was probably my favorite part.
139 minutes.
All the songs.
A little over 2 hours.
Yeah, a long movie.
Pretty long.
Jeremy, now we'll get to you. What do you think about Mary Poppins?
I think it's fucking fantastic. Shit. I mean, just the character in general, man. It's like she's got it down. She's got shit handled, man. They're fucking Hermione Granger, fucking endless bottomless bag, and fucking her damn umbrella. Shit. She can do everything.
Who doesn't want a bag like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've got the damn chimney song stuck in my fucking head this whole time. I can't. Chim chimney, chim 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 chim. I can't.
Chim chimmery, chim chim
Yeah.
chiroo. If I
And also, I mean,
I don't know.
I'm gonna start bringing up more musicals just to get songs stuck in your guys' heads now.
Yeah, thanks, man. Also, I mean, yeah, you gotta talk about Dick Van Dyke. Like, I mean, when we're talking about like this, a weird specific memory, talking about long movies. We say that, but I'm like, I also, as a kid, sat through Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, which I think is actually even longer. I love it, from start to finish.
Yeah.
Like, I had 2 of my cousins over, and we were little kids, so let's pick out a movie to watch, and I was the oldest, so I got my first pick. I picked that because I just, like, as a kid, I loved it. I never thought anyone was, like, I remember my cousin, like, partway through it, just, like, complaining the fuck so bad. He picked on purpose! I'm like, shut up! Enjoy the fucking, this is the best part. This little dickhead. Sorry, I remember, I can still hear him complaining that it was a long movie. I'm like, fuck you. Again, Dick Van Dyke, fucking phenomenal. That's where I was going. Like, who else? This man has some talent. He can dance like a motherfucker. Seriously.
True.
And I think, and it's cool. I mean, we might as well mention that. I think it was Emily Blunt playing in the recent edition of it, and he was in the movie. Fucking awesome. And he even got up on the table and actually did the little fucking dance. I appreciate that so much.
I'm sure it probably wasn't him, but it's nice to think it was. It was also very cool to see
I
him
wanna-
in the movie.
I want to believe it. Because I think he still teaches like dance at, like, to this day. So I mean, I can believe he got this little jig, like, you know.
Well, he's only 170 years old. He probably doesn't want to get up on the desk and
I
start
know.
dancing for fear of falling and breaking a hip.
Man.
Also in the newer movie, The Mary Poppins Returns, Angela Lansbury actually is in a small cameo at the end. She's the lady, I think, selling balloons in the park.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, it's again just a fantastic movie. One of Disney's absolute classics, and you guys should definitely see it if you have not already. So we're going to move on now to Miss Cora, who's got one more that she wants to talk about.
I saved my favorite of the list for last. Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1988. So this movie
Thank you.
was epic for me as a kid.
You're talking about
I was-
live action in animation, and I was hoping you'd say that.
Exactly. I mean, a perfect marriage.
I
It's
thought
like
of.
it's like the inspiration of what Space Jam was. You know, it's like it just. So first of all, I was a huge Looney Tunes fan growing up, the old school shit. You know, and I was 7 years old when this movie came out. I saw it in the theater. I mean, I don't know. This just so much about it was just fantastic. I could probably spend an hour talking about why I love this movie. It's set in
Retro movie
1947.
review?
Huh?
That's a retro movie review.
I would love to do
Go
one
for
just on this movie. So I'll keep it
yes.
short since we've run so late, but it had a budget of 50 million, excuse me, box office for 329 million. It was directed by Robert Zemeckis, who has a great resume in himself. Frank Marshall was one of the producers. Don't know who the screenplay writers are. It was based on a comic book kind of like thing that was, anyways, but it had, I mean, the fucking cast. You have Christopher Lloyd as the bad guy. You have Bob Hoskins, who is not a very well-known actor, I think, nowadays, but he's a fantastic actor as, you know, the PI, Eddie Valent. I don't really know the guy who did the voice of Roger Rabbit from
Charles
anything.
Fleischer.
Charles Fleischer. That
Actually,
coming to
it had-
mind.
He was in Back to the Future. He was in Back to the Future Part 2.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
how funny he and Christopher Lloyd are in both. This movie just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
If we-
Zemeckis made Back to
Like, if we did a
Makes
top
sense.
5 movie night of movies that moved me as a child that made me love movies, this would be like at the top of my list. I all of it, the Toon stuff, the live action, you know, I mean, the character development, all of it. So I'll cut it short because I hope we do a retro review. But that's my final top pick. Who Framed Roger Rabbit from 1988.
Not a bad movie at all. Rachel, what do you think?
I will let you guess that I was never allowed to watch this one as a kid.
I
No.
For all of the themes. I watched this movie
No.
for the first time in December of 2020.
What'd you think of it?
Really?
Yeah, that's the first time I watched it. Was last December.
I
Wait,
kinda-
was that me?
I kind of
I
envy
do
you.
that? Right. Did I do that?
I watched it and then we watched it together later.
Yeah, I knew we, okay, I was like, I know we watched it together. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah, that was the
first time.
second time. The second time
I
I
was
ever
like-
watched it was with you.
I had no fucking idea.
Yeah, again, I mean, just the themes in this movie, there was no way I was
That's-
ever going to be allowed to
that's
watch
fair.
this as a child. Just because.
And
of
I
my
was. What
upbringing.
does that say?
Parents were strict and older. I don't know.
Mine were older, but weren't that strict.
Anyways, this isn't the discussion on how strict my parents was.
No, that's a video in itself.
I found this movie very interesting. I loved the fact, just the mix of live action and cartoon was just so fascinating. And then I believe I watched one of the little like behind the scenes type feature of how they did it. And I found that really interesting also. You know, they had the stuff here and it's like, okay, interact with this as if it's a thing. And then we're going to add in the animation afterward. I mean, just the whole process was really fascinating. I think it's a really interesting idea. And I can't think, are there any other movies that are quite like that? There aren't any
I
that I
don't
can think of.
recall. For me, this was a big deal. I mean, you have Space Jam years later, but that
Wow.
was...
That's true.
Well, it's like
But
you've
at
got
that point,
Looney Tunes
computers-
and Disney together.
At that
That
point,
too.
computers were really, really involved in matching those two things up.
Right.
So
Okay.
it wasn't done nearly the same as this film was. This film absolutely,
Right,
because I
that's-
know that
yeah.
it had been done like in short form before, like for commercials and maybe some like little trailers that played before and after movies and stuff like that. But it had never been done on full feature scale for like a solid hour and a half, 2 hours. And not only that, but it brings all these characters from different universes and different companies together.
Oh,
in
the
same
Daffy
thing.
Duck, Bugs Bunny piano playoffs.
Oh, so funny.
Daffy
Oh,
and Donald. That was
Donald,
fucking
excuse me, yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
And how Bugs Bunny's
Yeah.
kind of an asshole.
But he's always been an
He's
asshole.
always been an
I
asshole.
know,
Like,
but
you know,
you really
it's
see
like
him
a
more
context.
here.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, another one of those animated Jessica Rabbit has no business being like that.
Yeah.
I'm
God.
sure that's another reason I wasn't allowed to watch it.
Yeah. I'm not bad. I'm just drawn that way.
Voiced,
I love that line.
voiced by Kathleen
I mean-
Turner, who was not credited for the movie, by the way.
Yes.
Really? Why wasn't she credited?
That's so sad.
I think it was probably a
So
choice.
sad.
Sometimes actors will do that just to maintain a little bit of mystery.
Yeah.
Because Gary Oldman
Yeah.
actually plays a role in, what was it, the Hannibal sequel, the second Silence of the Lambs movie.
Mm.
He's the one who plays Mason Verger, the guy who has his face all chewed up.
That's
He
right.
actually asked,
That's right.
He actually asked to not be credited in the film because he wanted that to lend more to this mystery behind the character. So it's widely
And
known.
I love
that
also-
the film.
And did you guys also like the Eddie Dolores love story between him and his girlfriend?
Yes.
I mean, it was a turning point for him to be better to her through watching Jessica and Roger. It was weird but cute.
Well, it is this really cool period piece. It plays out like a 1940s like serial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one of those things, like
Mhm.
it's like something. It plays out like a movie that you would go see in the theaters in 1940, whatever. So I forget exactly when the movie was based.
43.
It was based in 1947 Los Angeles.
Oh, excuse me.
7.
47.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's got a visual style of the kind of movies that you would have gone and seen in the 40s in a movie theater.
Love the feel of that movie.
Absolutely. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts?
Yeah, I was the complete opposite of Rachel. I mean, I was a kid, but like I watched the shit out of this movie. I watched it so many fucking times. It's like maybe it's because like I don't know, I was a kid and I was just like, oh my god, there's Bugs Bunny. Oh my god, like I loved all those characters. I'm like, oh my god, there's Mickey Mouse, there's Porky Pig, which is apparently the origin of his little catchphrase right at the end of the fucking movie, which is hilarious. You know, and Benny the Cab, I think it was one of my favorites because I don't know why. I had a little stuffed like thing of Benny the Cab somewhere. Yeah, and I had a little Roger Rabbit. And, like I don't know, maybe it's because the jokes just went over my head. I don't know. I thought it was a fun movie. But as an adult, again, I can appreciate it and laugh because I'm like, yeah, now I get it. Now we get it.
I didn't get it 15 years ago. I get it now. It's a whole new movie now that I'm a grown up.
Yeah. We know. The kids don't know, but we know.
The kids don't.
Rachel got a
We
unique
know.
experience seeing it as an adult for the first time.
Yeah, definitely.
Hey,
I envy people that get to watch these classic movies for the first time all over again. It's like I don't remember what it was like to watch Star Wars for the first time. So if I could just erase my memory, watch it again, and be just blown away by it again, I envy people that have that kind of experience. One of the fun things about Jennifer is she's not the big cinephile, not the big movie person. She'll watch some stuff, but it's like I've told her about some of these movies, and she'll sit down and watch it with me. She's like, "Holy hell, that movie is as good as everybody has always told me it is." I'm like, "I know, right?" And I get to sit there and experience with her the first time being exposed to this great film, whatever film it may
Nice.
be, and it's really fun to go do that. So yeah, I envy people that haven't seen some of these movies and they get to go watch them for the first time and just process them all brand new, because I really miss what it was like to go see these things for the first time. But, a great cast. Bob Hoskins, who was a legend. He passed away several years ago. Christopher Lloyd. Charles Fleischer did the voice of Roger Rabbit, Benny the Cab, Greasy, and Psycho, which are two of the little minions that follow around Judge Doom.
Weasels.
Charles Fleischer. Did you guys...
The weasels!
Have you guys seen The Zodiac?
Yes.
Yes.
Charles Fleischer is the creepy guy that tries to take Jake Gyllenhaal down into the basement. That's Charles Fleischer.
No!
Yes.
What
He's
a
been-
time.
He's been a big
shit.
voiceover actor for years, but he has
Okay.
done some stuff in front of the camera. He's done a few things, and that was actually
Oh,
one of the
wow.
things. Because I remember when I first went and saw that movie, I was like,
That
"That's
shit
Roger
gave
Rabbit.
me
That's kind of
chills.
hilarious." Yeah,
I didn't even notice that. That gave me chills, though. Holy shit.
yeah. But also the voice of Betty Boop in the dance hall scene was actually done by Mae Questel. Who was the original voice of Betty Boop way back in the day. She actually played the...
I remember knowing that.
Yeah,
That
she
was
played-
so fucking cool.
I think I mentioned when we did the Christmas movie stuff back in December, she actually played Grandma Griswold in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
And if you
That's
close your
right.
eyes and listen to her talk, you can actually just close your eyes, you can hear Betty Boop. That's the visual you get when you see her. That was actually, I think... I think that was one of her final film roles before she ended up passing away. But yeah, they actually got her to come back and do the voice all over again. She actually voiced a couple of different things. She did some voice stuff for Minnie Mouse and a couple of the birds and stuff like that over the course of this movie as well. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's one you've got to see. Again, it was a big stretch to do this animation live action thing together and to stretch it out to more than like a 5-minute thing or some kind of a short. It was a big deal, and they killed it. They absolutely killed it. Although I have to call you out on one thing, Cora. It's not a Disney movie.
Technically, it is.
No, it's not.
Mickey Mouse is in this movie, but it was not made
Technically-
by Disney.
It was
Let me-
produced by
you keep
Touchstone,
talking, I'll
Amblin,
prove
and
myself.
Silver Screen, and was distributed by Buena Vista. Buena Vista
Then
was
why is it
after
on the
this
list of Disney movies?
because A, they use Disney characters, which is probably the
Isn't
only
it also-
connective issue they have. For 2, Disney would eventually buy Buena Vista Pictures distribution. So Disney does now own Buena Vista, but I think at the time they did not. But I let it go because it's got Disney characters in it, and Disney owns Buena Vista now, so we're gonna let it go. I guess it's a good movie.
Okay.
Mickey had a line when he fucking melts. He's like, "Gee,
To be fair, I did try to be very specific and looked up Disney movies.
Oh, I know.
So I'm sorry for that.
Hey, I let it
For
go.
one
It's a killer
fucking
movie.
thing, when you open up Disney Plus, it is right. It's right there.
Do you know why?
'Cause they bought it and added to
Because
their
Yeah,
library.
they
Mickey
bought the
Mouse is in it.
distribution. There also may be some contractual shit
saying.
for using Mickey Mouse. I don't know. That's getting a little into the legal
Yeah.
weeds for me, and I'm
But
not
they
in their
didn't
meetings.
create
They'll
it and
just give
produce
the-
it and distribute it,
They
is
don't
what
just
Frank
hand
is
the
saying.
mouse out to anybody. Yeah. I'll let it go. I believe you. It's got Mickey in it.
That is Roger
My
Rabbit.
bad.
Go see that stuff. Rachel, what's the last movie you want to talk about?
So we're hopping back into my favorite franchise. I saved my favorite Disney movie for last, and that is The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. I watched this on VHS over and over and over and over again. And when I was a younger child, I always skipped over the Heffalumps and Weasels portion because I would cry because I thought that they were hurting Pooh because I was a very sensitive child. I was always super concerned about that. This movie holds such a special place in my heart. This is like the movie that I was the most drawn to as a kid. The songs in this movie are very cute and get stuck in your head. I've had the rain cloud, I'm just a rain cloud song that Pooh, yeah, that one when he's trying to get his honey and trying to fool the bees. I love the way that this movie looks like a book. Which again, in this franchise, it really follows the books because this is also directly from one of the books of Winnie the Pooh. And I like the scene where Tigger is stuck up in the tree, and the narrator goes, "Well, here, I'll help you get down," and he turns the book sideways, and so that Tigger can walk down on the words. I mean, endearing, so endearing. You have the conflict and resolution, and nothing is too much. There are lessons to be learned. It's kind of like a lot of short movies put into one full story, kind of like a short stories book, which is what the Winnie the Pooh books were. I love Winnie the Pooh. That any books I can get my hands on, any movies, just this whole the 100 Acre Wood universe is my favorite of all time.
Cora, what are some of your thoughts?
I love, like I said, love everything Winnie the Pooh. All I can say is, good final and top pick. I can't say anything better than you did. Fucking phenomenal.
Jeremy, how about you? I know you're a Winnie the Pooh aficionado.
Weirdly enough, I mean, yes, I did also watch a lot of these Winnie the Pooh movies as a kid too, like constantly. I don't know. It was like you said. Even as an adult, I appreciate how meta that movie is, where it's like you're literally the book is the thing, and like they interact with it, interact with because Tigger's like, "Hey, who are you?" He's like, "I'm the narrator." He's like, "Oh well, please narrate me down from here." I'm like, it's just so funny. It works. Yeah, and like I said, I'm still looking for this. Where Rachel's at in correlation to me. Looking for this thing
I'm
in
below
my
you.
bedroom. I probably so down there. Had in my room like for years and years and years and years growing up, even through my teens, I had. It's a wooden clock of Winnie the Pooh, and like the face is like on his stomach. I had it hanging up in my room for fucking years, and I think it's still at my parents. I think I know where it's at. It's probably still in that room, but like, if I find it, I'm definitely giving it to you because I'm like, I know will appreciate it.
Absolutely. I would put
Yeah.
that up immediately.
And it's funny because the other thing I had, oh, I know you would. Because it's weird. The other thing I had was on my nightstand. I had I gotta find that now. That's gonna be a piece of fucking. It's kind of the same deal, but it's a little switch lamp. But it's a Mickey Mouse. It's like a wood
Yeah.
carve out of Mickey. It's like him like doing like a little happy like a little walk. It's all there. It's all good in condition. That was always my little night side table lamp. And then I have a 2 o'clock on the wall. And now that I talked absolutely nothing about the movie, really, it's not what I had as a kid. Yeah, no, I mean that's nothing else that she didn't really say or Cora said. Like, it's Winnie the Pooh, man. You just can't. The lovable little, just full of fluff bear.
Like, if there was a time capsule that we could send out in space to represent humanity, if we could only pick, like, like a few book series, I would put Winnie the Pooh books in there.
Not the 50
There's
Shades
this
of
really
Grey.
interesting. Okay.
No.
God damn it!
No.
You're gonna confuse the aliens, dude. They're gonna be looking at this whole wholesome bear, and then fucking this bullshit.
Twilight.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Well,
We
you
should
know
have
how
we should have a topic, top 5
Whatever
movies
you're-
that we would put a time capsule out in space for aliens to evaluate humanity with.
I don't know. You can't really go
That's
by
an
our media.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just said Twilight and we just said 50 Shades of Grey. You started saying we should do a thing like if you fucking mention either of those, I'm not doing it. Fuck both of those.
No, I would not pick those.
I was like, you pick your next words very carefully. Jesus.
I would not
No,
pick
I hate
those. No.
Yeah, again, not a Winnie the Pooh person. Although I do vaguely remember having a Tigger stuffed animal when I was very, very young. I recall that for some reason. I don't know why that memory just kind of like creeps towards the front a little bit. But I do remember having I think it was a Tigger stuffed animal when I was very, very young.
Did your kids get into Winnie the Pooh?
No. My kids, my boys have always been into Marvel. My daughter has always been into... my kids came up in the Barney era. So a lot of it was that. Like, the more whole
Yep.
like Winnie the Pooh had been pushed out by Barney and Teletubbies and...
yeah.
What was the thing my oldest son used to watch?
Lamb Chop and
Doodle
that
Bops.
crap.
The Doodle Bops is what my oldest son used to watch.
Never
when he
even
was a kid.
heard of it.
I remember seeing an image of that because I was a little bit older by that time and being absolutely terrified of those things. What were they supposed to be?
We just talked about
I don't know.
we just talked about the Teletubbies at work. I don't know what the fuck those things were.
Yeah, we have no idea what those things were.
I was actually allowed to watch that show as a kid. I don't know
Are you
why
serious?
that was. Yeah.
That's disturbing.
I watched it and I was like very confused. My mom
Probably
was
because
even
they
like,
didn't
"What the fuck
say
is this?" I'm
anything
like,
ever.
I don't know.
Well, the
Didn't
one
it confuse you?
the one doll used to use the the gay slur. Remember that? Remember when that was in the news? Cora, you might remember that. The little
Yes.
red Teletubby, the little plush doll that they had for sale.
Oh.
If you hit it,
Oh.
it said something in French. I think what it was saying was in French, but because it wasn't very clear, it came out like it was using the F word for homosexuals, and it would say it over and over again. So I think they ended up
That's
pulling them off the
awful.
shelf for a while, which I thought was kind of funny. I don't think that
And
was
then there
actually what it was saying.
that preacher Jerry Falwell who said the purple one represented gay people and told all
well-
Christians to stop watching Teletubbies.
Yeah, where Jerry Falwell
I'm
touches the
surprised I
ball.
didn't hear about that one.
Oh, it was a
Right.
big deal.
I didn't hear about that one.
Yeah, Jerry
Oh,
Falwell
you can
touches
look that
the
up.
ball at
No,
night.
that'd be fun.
Jerry Falwell spends his money on transvestite hookers. He's got no reason to talk. But fact check true. Fact check true. Go look up all the
I
I'm
believe
stuff.
not
you, man.
lying. You're right, but yeah.
But yeah, again, I'm not a Winnie the Pooh person. But again, dude, the franchise is worth money. It's like you can you could come up with something completely. For one, there's like a million books out there that you could kind of drag out into a movie. So you've always got good material to go to. It's an easily recognizable IP. It's great stuff for kids, and kids marketing is huge in movies. It's like you make these movies for basically bus fare. So all you have to do is just get one on the screen, and it's gonna be a tremendous profit. And they're wholesome. They're kind of counter programming in a way.
Wholesome.
If you don't want to go see something heavy like the next big action movie or some really dense drama or some emotional thriller or whatever, horror, you can go see a movie like this with your kids and just spend the day out, go eat some popcorn, drink some soda, and watch Winnie the Pooh and his gang walk around the 100-acre woods and do their thing.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean it's a killer IP that's worth billions. I don't think they make enough of these movies if you think about it.
I don't either.
It's like I said, like how many books are out there?
More.
I mean, it's like there's
Rachel's here for all the
there's a bunch of individual books
right.
that you could stretch out
so
something.
One of the weirdest ones that I own, I don't remember exactly where it came from. It is the Winnie the Pooh book about things to do when you're sick, like chronically sick. Like, it's really fascinating.
You told me
it's
about
like,
that.
there's like a story about, well, this is what happened when Piglet was sick, and here's how we took care of them. It also has recipes, but like tea and like oatmeal.
Right.
It has recipes
Somebody
in it.
else was talking
It
about
has crafts
this to me.
in it. Yeah, it's really fascinating, and
Yeah.
I have this book at my house, which is if I was at my home, I would have all these things and I would be showing them to you. But
Oh, she'd have the stack right there waiting for
I
her
have a
last
stack.
check
I
out.
have-
I got this.
I have one shelf on my bookshelf that is just Winnie the Pooh books. But that one's one of my favorites just because personally, as someone who is chronically ill, that one really works for me.
Aww.
So that one, I
That's
really
sweet.
like that one because it's very weirdly specific, but it's like all the characters of Winnie the Pooh, and this is, they're helping you on your way while you're sick, and it's just very, very sweet, very wholesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a comfort title. Like I said, it just feels
Yes,
good to watch some
absolutely.
Winnie the Pooh stuff.
It does. It does.
But we'll move on now to Jeremy's final one, unless we want to just skip him and go right to my final one. Jeremy, what's the last movie you want to talk about?
You want to skip this? You don't want to skip this one because I think the internet would rally behind me in this one. Now again, we're staying tucked in the early 2000s, 2001 to be exact, and my final pick is Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Make this into a fucking live-action movie for the love of God and all that is holy. It would. Okay. This is why I say this is the last one because I'm about to go off on a small rant. I'll try to make it small. This movie is fucking phenomenal. I watched this again, I think, maybe a few months ago, but recently. Still blown the fuck away by the intro. I mean, it kicks, boom, right off. Boom, here comes the fucking wave. It's all of them fucking trying to outrun the fucking wave. They're trying to warn the city, and they're hauling ass right back to fucking Atlantis. And shit, it just comes right, fucking, as we all know, because, we don't know what's in the ocean. The water fucking comes right over the city, and then they put the protective dome over it. And this is also why I'm mad. Because I don't know why no one talks about Princess Kida. She's literally royalty. She is a Disney princess. Put her out there. She's fucking badass. I mean, she's not just like a typical princess. Like, she fucking knows how to do some shit. She gets in there. The whole point was her mom was the one that was chosen to protect the city, went up and put the dome over the city to protect the Atlantean people. So this jumps forward to the ever wonderful Michael J. Fox. This came off of a Zemeckis movie, so there's that. Voicing Milo Thatch. And this is in like the early, like 1912 or something. This is like early turn of the century. Who is trying to prove that Atlantis does in fact exist. Because there is this book out there called Shepherd's Journal, which his grandfather had documented all this things about Atlantis and trying to find it in the first place. So it's like, and the sad thing is like he's obviously kind of like the little quiet, swirly guy who just lives in the basement of the people that have the money that could fund him in his trip. I think he's a nutcase because obviously like Atlantis isn't real. I mean, this movie's kind of like, yeah, but not even what if it is? It is. It is. So you get a guy that worked with his grandfather that says, hey, look, I'm going to fund your trip for you. And we're going in fucking style. I thought that ship, that submarine, was the coolest fucking thing I'd ever seen, too. Like, this is such a cool fucking movie. And then it's, of course, you got the big fucking heel turn, because of course there was. The people that were down there were just fucking mercenaries there to whatever they fucking wanted, whatever they found. And the problem is they thought that the city was going to be empty, and they're like, nope, these people aren't supposed to still be here. But they're like, hey, we still have a job to do. So that kind of causes that's your conflict. There's your friction between the main characters and the entire crew he basically led there. Yeah. It's a wild movie, and I will tell you my favorite character is Vinny, the demolition guy. Fucking hilarious.
Yeah, you can't really go wrong with anybody in this cast either. Cora, what are some of your thoughts on this film?
I haven't seen it.
It's not so
I'm not even gonna be mad. I recommend watching it.
You know what? This movie's kind of been lost over
really.
the years, I feel.
But I will add it to my list. I will.
Just like
I'm gonna do
Atlantis.
Disney Plus when we get off here in a minute. I've got notes to add them all to my watch list.
Yeah, this movie
Trust me, like I said, this movie just fucking kicks it'll have you by the balls in the first 5 minutes. Like I said, when we're talking about Up, this is just straight out boom. It starts with the wave, just flat out boom. It just goes for the city, and I'm like, you don't have time to get your breath. They're all just hauling ass back towards the city, and they're little flying fucking fish, not hoverboards, but whatever the fuck they are. Yeah. Of course, they have advanced technology that no one in the world has ever seen. That's the whole point.
That submarine does look a lot like a spaceship. It's like it shouldn't be underwater. It should be floating around somewhere. It does. But Rachel, what are some of your thoughts on this movie?
I've seen this movie once, and I was very young also when I saw it, so I don't really remember much of it, but it does give me Treasure Planet vibes also. I think those two movies kind of go together in the kind of lost, really good, but kind of lost Disney animated films that would make really good live adaptations. Both of these movies, I feel like, would be really great if they made live. These make sense to make, live adaptations to, because they really, the plot of these movies is really interesting and intricate.
I mean, Atlantis in and of itself is just
you could do it right.
Yeah, it's this whole mythical place. You could tell all kinds of crazy stories about it. I mean, everything from Aquaman to stuff like this to, just come up with whatever new character and make it a whole thing. Just it's because they're so little known, you can almost kind of tell the story wherever you want. It's just the setting, and then you just tell your story around it. But yeah, like I said, I feel like this is one of those movies that it's really super good. It's just for some reason it's gotten pushed out of the public consciousness over time. I really feel like Disney should try to re-release this one just one time to see how it would do. I feel like people would go to see it, and then you go look at some of the names. Like, everybody loves Michael J. Fox, James Gardner, who was a Hall of Famer, David Ogden Stiers, again, who also did a voice in Lilo and Stitch, is in this one as well. And visually, honestly, this poster looks really good. And the movie is every bit as good. Mm-hmm. And then action movies themselves tend to just kind of wrap people up because we all.
It is a really nice movie poster.
Yeah, we all want to be that swashbuckling pirate, or we all want to be Indiana Jones. We all want to be that person that goes off on this crazy adventure and goes and looks for this kind of thing that has been lost for hundreds or thousands of years. So this whole movie just kind of lends itself to just running you over and you just loving every second of it. I've seen this movie a couple times over the years. It's been quite a while since I've watched it the last time, but it's like, again, it's so good.
I'm really upset. I think it was like in that day when this movie was coming out, I don't know if it's like McDonald's or wherever had like toys of like a movie that had come out. I had a fucking thing of their little crystals that they wore around their neck. It was a little like it had the symbol in it. And you pressed it, and the crystal lit up inside, and it fucking broke from the fucking main part where the light was, and I lost it, and I had no idea. And I thought it was like one of my favorite things. I would fucking wear it around my neck a lot, and I would just fucking play with it and shit. Because if you see the movie, you know. That was important. That fucking crystal was what basically was the key to everything.
Yeah, I want to see Disney. I don't want to see this given the live action treatment yet. I want to see a re-release. Put this back out in theaters. Give it a little bit of a restoration. Touch it up a bit. Do some digital stuff to it and put it back out. I guarantee that right now, as people are kind of making their way back to the theaters, I mean, the theaters have been doing it off and on for the last 5 or 6 months anyway, as we've been kind of coming out of the whole pandemic thing. It's like re-release some of these old things, just try to get people coming back and sitting in the theater with other people again. So put out, whatever, Willy Wonka and Wizard of Oz and all these other classic movies. Put this one out there just one time. Put it out there in a limited release for a weekend. Go wide across the country, or hit the bigger cities. You put it out on about 1,000 screens. I guarantee this movie would probably do very, very well. Again, it's got names attached to it that people love, and it's just a killer movie. Again, I think this movie has just kind of been pushed to it's pushed aside by all the bigger stuff that Disney's done over the last 20 or so years. But it's really, really good. I absolutely think you guys should definitely go check that one out. But anyway, that is Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Go watch it. I may go watch that one as soon as we're done here. I've been thinking I want to go watch a movie, but I was like, I don't know, I'll think of something. But there's one more movie I want to talk about. And this is a movie that has been kind of shit on over the years. I don't really know why. Probably because the second movie did not do particularly well, even though I thought it was very good. And that's National Treasure. Again, it's adventure. Yes. It's action. He is the modern day Indiana Jones, the treasure hunter. I think that's kind of what they were going for. Yes. I think it didn't quite land that way, at least not in the second movie. But I think once you make that comparison, it's fucking awesome. Now, Nicolas Cage, who we all love on this channel, he plays Benjamin Franklin Gates. Comes from a treasure hunting family who is trying to find this treasure of the Knights Templar that has been moving and growing for a century or more, and be somewhere on this planet still, and he's just trying to go around finding it. Now, in the beginning of the movie, he's going around with basically a bunch of mercenaries that really just want to find the treasure because they want their cut. And then it becomes this race against time and these other mercenaries to put together these clues to find this treasure before they do. I'm kind of a history buff. That's part of why this movie appeals to me. I love Nicolas Cage, which is why this movie appeals to me. I do love some of the stuff that like Gore Verbinski and he did this movie as well, I believe. And I think it was him that did it. Or this was God, who was it? John Turteltaub did this one. But he's done stuff with Michael Bay, Jerry Bruckheimer rather. Jerry Bruckheimer was the producer of this movie. It is a good modern day Disney adventure tale. Second movie, not quite the same. They tried to, but when you've already found the biggest treasure that's ever existed, how do you kind of follow that up? So they didn't quite do that right. I think they should have kind of shaped that story a little bit differently. I still very much enjoyed it. But again, it's you put yourself in this character's position. He is the modern day Indiana Jones. And I think that once you watch it from that perspective, you appreciate this movie in a very different way. Rachel, so what are some of your thoughts on this movie?
This movie holds kind of a special place in my heart because my dad and I watched this movie over and over and over again as a kid because he's a huge history buff. If I were to show you around, because I'm in my parents' house right now, if I were to show you around here, there's all kinds of presidential stuff and historical stuff and antiques, and I mean that's just right up his alley. And I love a good adventure story, so it was such a fun movie to watch. I actually just watched it pretty recently again, and I still really like it. I just think it's such a fun movie. I mean, it's a pretty unique idea, but it ties in those interesting pieces of history. I really liked this movie. It was a fun movie to watch.
This is another one that
I was going to say, for one thing, your dad looks like Harrison Ford because your dad is Indiana Jones.
Yeah, my dad does look like Harrison Ford. He won fourth in a look-alike contest after a baby, so technically he won third because I don't.
He won third. Fuck them.
Looking like Harrison Ford.
That's not fair.
No.
You put a fucking little tyke in a goddamn hat and a whip. That's fucking unfair.
That's what I said. But yeah, my dad does look like Harrison Ford.
Fucking does.
Cora, what are some of your thoughts?
And he's a teacher. That doesn't help. I'm telling you.
This movie was fantastic. I loved it when it came out. Like you, Frank, I love history, especially history of our nation. And my adopted dad is a Mason, and he's pretty high up, and he doesn't say a lot. But I've seen some of the stuff lying around, and I won't lie, I peeked. There's a lot. I mean, it's interesting. There's something to that, in my opinion. So this is fascinating. Like you said, Nick Cage, perfect person for this. I like the action. How can you go wrong with a movie with Harvey Keitel, Jon Voight, and Christopher Plummer all in it together? I mean, I mean, you just can't. And the sequel was pretty good, and I like that they did follow up. And you know, there's a whole bunch of great supporting actors in it. This movie just was at the time when it came out in 2004, it was just like the shit. You know, like everybody saw it, everybody wanted to see it, everybody wanted the sequel. And the backstory of, you know, him growing up and then seeing him, you know, continuing that love of adventure. It just is something I think we could all relate to about being passionate about something in our life. So, yeah, great pick.
Jeremy, how about you? What do you think of this movie?
John Bean did not die in this movie, so that's fucking impressive for him. If we all know, we know. He did not die in this.
Sean Bean has to die in every movie.
Just about, man. Yeah, he didn't die in this movie, so I hated that. I was like, because I knew that, because again, I saw Lord of the Rings, I think, before I fucking apparently saw anything else in my life. And he died in Lord of the Rings. I was like, oh, damn. You know, I knew he was in that James Bond movie. He died. I was like, hold on. This dude's got a problem. But anyway. Yeah. I've said this before. I know Nicolas Cage is like a meme himself. Like, he's not a bad actor. Does a lot of bad movies. But movies he does do that are very good, they're fucking great. And this is definitely one of them. This is a great fucking movie that he's done. And again, I don't want to say a buff because I hate trying to jerk myself off saying like I'm a buff and someone quizzes me and I'm like, how the fuck do I know that? I love history too. I love the whole Mason's angle because they are kind of that same. It's the whole mystery behind that, and like she said, my great grandfather was also a Mason, so that's kind of cool too. He didn't give up any of his secrets, I guess. So I'll still never fucking know. I'm out in the club, as it were. And it's cool. We watched this on our 8th grade field trip to DC. Because what else would you watch? Come on. It was about... Because it came out a few years before. It's fun because they mentioned that in the thing when we were talking about the security. Like, well, you got cameras here, you got heat sensors, you got kids on their 8th grade trip. And I was like, ah! We're all like, hey, that's us on the bus. We all like went, ah! Collectively, we were like, ah! Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, and well, this is probably more something Rachel will laugh at, but I made a Vine back in the day. I was in Hobby Lobby, and there was like little fake rolled up things of the Declarations of Independence. I did my best Nicolas Cage. I'm like, I'm gonna steal Declaration of Independence. And I just like I scrambled to grab off the wall and like run away. That was the whole Vine. It was fun. Great movie.
Yeah, me being a history buff, I was instantly drawn into this movie. And again, the first couple of minutes, you had that really touching storytelling moment between the grandson and the grandfather. You kind of find yourself, again, just getting sucked in really, really quickly. And so you get attached to this emotional moment between these two generations. And then it's like, okay, now we're going to look for treasure. So this movie works at a whole lot of levels. It's fantastic. Again, this is another one of those movies that Disney has talked about making a third one for a long time. I know Nicolas Cage has wanted to do it. I think just about everybody has said they would come back to do it. I think Jon Voight said he would. Diane Kruger said she would. Helen Mirren, who was in the second film, has said that she would like to come back and do it again. So, I mean, there's opportunity. But again, I just think that because the money for the second film was so squiffy, that they're kind of hesitant on pulling the trigger. And on top of that, Nicolas Cage is not the bankable actor that he once was. So I think maybe there's a little bit of hesitation on that. But honestly, I think if you put him out there, he'd do great. I think this is a great role for him because he himself is a little oddly eccentric. And this character is kind of weirdly, arrogantly eccentric. I think there's some really cool parallels between the two that make him and this character work out very well together. But go check out National Treasure.
It's one of his best characters. It
is. And he doesn't have to act weird. He's just acting like a good version of Nick Cage in this one. So it's not like some outrageous character that he has to portray. I can imagine if you sent Nick Cage out on a real treasure hunt, he would behave just like this guy. He would behave He would behave just like Benjamin
he's not out there. He's not out there trying to take John Travolta's face off.
No, face off.
I'll take his face.
Action movie
It's a
greatness.
dumb movie.
All.
It's a good.
All style,
Yes.
no substance. All style, no substance.
Yeah,
Every now and
it was a
again,
good
you need
movie
a
for that.
though.
But
You need a good movie like that there every now and again, just to kind of
It's
a
a
palate
fun
cleansing
movie.
kind of movie. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Some of you guys in the chat were giving us some of your favorites. Van Edwards says Cars, a good movie. The first Cars movie is really good. Sequel's not so great, but the first movie Cars is good. He also said Robin Hood. We like that one as well. Aristocats is not one I expected to see anybody call out. I personally think that movie is only okay.
that was originally on my. That was my first draft list. It was there for a long time. Me and her were talking about movies, and I unfortunately kicked it out because that was one I watched a lot.
Yeah,
it was on there though.
Van also said one that I was really surprised. I almost put it on my list, but I figured one of you guys would. He also brings up Aladdin, the original with Robin Williams. I didn't put it on my list because I figured one of you guys would go with it. But as I was pulling all the posters and pictures for tonight, I was like, nobody picked Aladdin, really? But whatever. I mean, again, we could probably do it, like I said, a part 2 to just about every video.
I mean, that's a classic Disney. Like, I didn't pick Cinderella, even though I love Cinderella.
It was my
Well,
favorite.
we want to talk about first. He picked Snow White. You're talking about the first animated Disney movie. I'm like, well, you want to talk about the first Pixar animated Disney? I almost put Toy Story on this bitch. Because that's a really good
one. I did too. Toy Story was on my short list.
That was another one that I surprisingly did not see any. Because, I mean, my first list that I put out, just kind of writing them out, I was like, The Lion King is another one that I was really surprised none of you guys picked. Lion King, Toy Story, Aladdin, Mary Poppins I ended up going with, Bedknobs and Broomsticks I left off, National Treasure, The Rescuers, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, a classic. And
that's a good one.
And one that, God, I struggle with this one because I love this movie so much. One I left off was Hocus Pocus. I love that movie to death.
I hear you there. I had Gone in 60 Seconds, Cinderella, and The Parent Trap original.
Oh,
one
the
from
original
61.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Is mine honorable mentions.
But yeah, I really struggle with that Hocus Pocus, and I love that movie. If they do end up making a sequel, which they keep talking about it, I keep seeing
with new people.
No, they have actually got the original Three Witches to come back, from what I've read.
Really?
That's what I've heard.
Impressive, Bette Midler.
Yes.
Bette Midler owned that shit.
Yes,
I'd be surprised
that I've never seen that.
Yeah, I could get down on that.
You are killing me.
Sarah Jessica Parker is the dumb blonde witch is hilarious.
Yeah, if they do that, I'll be there. I'll be there because I want to see it. But yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun if they get it made. Again, I didn't think they were ever going to get Coming to America. I didn't think they were ever going to get that made, and they did. There's a couple sequels, and I'm like, I mean, we've been talking a little bit lately about the new Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones 5. I never saw that one actually make it in front of a camera. They're filming it now. We just talked about some set pics, so
yeah.
I mean, it's who knows. But David Capice also said he likes Pinocchio, Little Mermaid, and Fantasia. Fantasia is another good one. Pinocchio, another classic. Yeah, again, a very different style of filmmaking that you don't realize how good that movie is until you've watched it a couple of times and you've had a chance to kind of process the artistry of it all. But let's see. Van Edwards says he just watched Hocus Pocus at the drive-in this past October. Highly enjoyable. Yeah, it's great. It's a great movie to watch whenever. I mean, of course, Halloween it's gonna feel a little bit different. It's gonna fit a little more, but it's like the movie's just so damn good. So I do kind of hope they end up putting a sequel out to that.
Are you looking forward to the Tom Cruise Top Gun Maverick sequel coming out?
Kinda, a little.
Yes.
I have my hat.
I hate Tom Cruise, but I love Top Gun. So
I'm eager to see what they do with the character. I'm interested.
Right.
I'm eager for the ending for the Jurassic World trilogy.
I'm also trying to figure out exactly how Tom Cruise manages to not look like he's 170 years old, even though he is. There's some weird
one tooth right in the middle of his mouth.
There's some weird Scientology stuff that he's doing behind closed doors, probably drinking the blood of unicorns and virgins. I don't know.
Maybe he really was a vampire and he just never fucking aged.
Maybe he was. Maybe that's why he made that movie. He actually is a vampire. Yeah. It's entirely possible.
He's got one tooth right in the middle of his mouth. One tooth.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle.
Nice.
I like to point that out because it's weird.
There's a lot of things about him that are weird. But
that one's my favorite weird thing.
He jumps on the couch and swears he loves Katie Holmes.
Oh, boy.
He's an odd bird, but we all love his acting. He's great on camera. For those of you still around, there's 5 of you. We were actually up to 13 at one point. That's pretty awesome, especially for a stream that is a whole lot longer than we usually do. But if
It's
you're still
Rachel.
around,
She brought the magic.
it is. But if you're still around, short plug for the Patreon. If you want to support us for $5 a month, we give away $25 in free movie tickets every month. And for the last 2 months, I have forgotten to send them out to people. They're still right here. But anyway, go out to the theater. Go see some movies. It's going to be awesome. And first off, let me thank my awesome co-host for being fantastic tonight. The Dowager Countess Lady Cora, thank you so much for being awesome.
If I could mention real quick, don't forget we'll be back on Thursday for episode 2 review of Loki.
Yes, we'll be doing Loki on Thursday. Also, my hetero life and my good friend Jeremy, thank you so much for all your stuff. Are you doing any gaming or anything right now? Are you back on the interwebs?
No, because I need a new laptop. Because what I'm currently staring at is just kind of like, yeah, well, it works, but not to the level I wanted to. I was going to run through my honorable mentions like hella fast. That was the other thing I was trying to say.
Go for it.
I have All Order and Company, Nightmare Before Christmas, because fuck you, Frank, it's a good movie. The Aristocrats, Toy Story, and 2 that I thought were mildly obscure, but I didn't know if anyone mentioned them, is The Black Cauldron and Fun and Fancy Free, because that's a weird one that I just love from my childhood.
Ooh, Black Cauldron's a good one. I like that. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Black Cauldron's a very good one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is my hetero life mate, Jeremy. And then we were blessed today by the presence of the one you see in the middle of your screen, Miss Rachel. She's all the time in the chat. She's all the time over here hanging out. Jeremy is nice enough to bring her over and lighten up my abode to come hang out with us and play all kinds of silly card games that we enjoy so greatly. Where can we find you on the internet? Are you gaming or anything right now?
Not really. I mess around on Twitter a little bit. If you want to follow me on Twitter, my @ is SheWroteLove99.
I will put that in the description so nobody has to remember.
Please come back again, Rachel. You're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I've never done anything like this before, so
you're great at it. You're natural.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have some pretty awesome.
I kept trying to tell her.
I have some pretty awesome friends that I can do stuff like this with. I've been very, very blessed between, Cora, Jeremy, you, Aaron, some other people that have been trying to pop on over the course of this whole YouTube journey. I've got a lot of really cool friends that I really like to hang out with.
And plus, you have an adorable dog, which is so cute on camera. So yeah.
Buttercup.
Let me see if I can bring her in real quick.
Don't make the
Sorry
princess
for
mad.
Waking you.
Oh, there she is.
Princess that I just woke up. She looks very upset that I just woke her up.
Like, dude,
Sorry,
what the fuck? I was
The
asleep.
people wanted to see you.
Right.
Well,
I don't want kisses, you asshole.
Thanks for doing the show, Frank. I love being here, and I know you're real busy, so it's great that you still make time for this.
Yes, I apologize for the outrageously late start time, but sometimes baseball games go a lot later than I anticipate them going, and this is one of those nights. But yeah, thank you guys all for being here. We were 13 strong at one point. We are one short of 100 playbacks, which is pretty good for most of us. 10 likes. Thank you guys for coming around. We appreciate all of you guys that are usual people, Chris Skywalker, Van Edwards, Really Mysterious, all you guys. A couple of new people in the chat tonight. Thank you guys for coming and checking us out. We hope you come back again, and we'll see you guys later on. Thanks for coming by.